on the 10th of May. Then at 1 o'clock the call was taken, and our DGMO said, I'll revert to my government and tell you, come back to you. So then he took instructions from the Indian government and told him, okay, we will agree to a cessation of hostilities, not a formal ceasefire. And it will be contingent upon Pakistan's continued good behavior. So that is how the cessation of hostilities took place. But this was to be announced at 5 in the evening that day, 10th of May. And to the world's shock and surprise, to India's shock and major surprise, Donald Trump jumped the gun and announced it first and said that he had mediated a ceasefire kind of a thing. Firstly, there was no ceasefire. It was only a cessation of hostilities. And number two, it was, done on the hotline between the two Director General's military operations. So it was a bilateral arrangement, and it was incorrect of Donald Trump to try and claim that credit which he has been doing all this while, that I have done 8, ceasefires I have arranged, etc., etc. He's listed out those countries in his State of the Union address there. But the simple fact is on this, factually he is not correct. We have said it many times. Our Prime Minister has said so. And that's where the matter rests. Donald Trump is right now about to start a war with Iran. So it doesn't really gel with his ceasefire attempts. There seems to be some confusion. On the one hand, he says he's arranging ceasefires, and now he is all set to attack Iran. There is a contradiction, inherent contradiction in that stand.
Major General Judy Bakshi, I really want you to hold on with us because I'm being joined by Major Samarpal Tur, who is joining us live. Thank you for joining us here, Major Tur. Now, we are getting perspectives from our defense experts here. Do you think that the Pakistan Prime Minister is very quiet? It's quite suspicious that he's quiet. He's not correcting Trump. Is it because he knows that India destroyed its air bases during Operation Sindoor and they don't want to speak up?
You see, they are enjoying the limelight. They are enjoying the importance that, they have ever dreamt of. This was a dream for them that they get the center stage, they get the attention, they are in the limelight, they are in the forefront when it comes to the United States. So this is the cheap popularity that Pakistan is definitely enjoying on behest of President Trump. And President Trump is who? The person who wants to go to war with Iran is the one who wants himself to be nominated for Peace Prize. I mean, you do not give such loose statements on a world stage by, creating animosity and hatred and, creating an atmosphere of insecurity by saying that, the Prime Minister was in the crosshair of the American force, of the Indian Defense Forces during Op Sindoor. I mean, I want to re-emphasize that our leadership had decisively and with full confirmation and authority had said that it is going to be a selected and a very measured response against terrorism, terror tanzeems, their leadership, their training infrastructure, and their locations where they harbor terrorists. That was it. The 13 locations and the markers which were destroyed were pinpoint precision. I do not deny that, the Indian Defense Forces do not lack the capability of what he's stating. But we have never ever thought of doing that. We will never do it until and unless, it is an all-out war between both the nations. And, the top leadership to be taken out is the last alternative. That is exactly what they did in the attack on Parliament on India. They wanted to actually take out the leadership of India. So instead of mocking and, pointing out Pakistan for harboring Osama bin Laden, for harboring Jaish-e-Adal, Jaish-e-Mohammed, Lashkar-e-Taiba, by inciting terrorism in, Jammu and Kashmir, the human rights violation, the ethnic cleansing of Baluchistan. This is what President Trump should be addressing Pakistan. and not putting up a narrative, because you see, these are unreliable claims, because every claim that he comes on stage and speaks, one fighter jet increases in being downed. So, it is imperative that the authenticity and, the assurity of what President Trump says is very unlikely. And the best way to tackle his statements is to give time, to be mature enough to wait, give things time until he gives another statement. Then we can measure the response and give it to him. But right now, this is totally uncalled for. It is only going to incite more trouble and more hatred and a feeling of insecurity in the region. And India being one of the world powers, we do not want that situation to arise. We want things to be in control. We want things to be peaceful. We want development in this region.
All right, well, thank you for joining us there, Major Tour here on Republic TV, and thank you, Major General G.D. Bakshi. Once again, Trump says that he made the deal between India and Pakistan and also exposed how Pakistan was helpless. We're getting some more breaking news coming in. Justice for Riyansh case, Bulandshahr firing case, real brother of accused father Rovin Verma Sonu detained for questioning by Bulandshahr police. More than 5 teams of Bulandshahr police have been constituted to find out the absconding father-son duo. This is a huge update coming in, viewers of Republic TV. This is the story, the wedding celebration in UP's Bulandshahr, which turned into a nightmare after a stray bullet from a celebratory firing struck an 8-year-old boy, leaving him in coma. And days after the incident, the accused father and son are still on the run as an innocent child lies in coma and is battling for his life. Big update in the firing case. We see that there's one detention which has been made. The real brother of accused father, Rovin Verma Sonu, has been detained for questioning by the Bulandshahr police. A shocking incident happened on Feb 19th. And we will, of course, try to go across to a colleague in a short while from now. But the small boy, the 8-year-old, Riyansh, only son of his father, Himanshu, was playing on the roof of a neighbor's house when the bullet tore through his jaw. Hearing screams, people rushed upstairs. Riyansh was found collapsed, bleeding, and now is in coma. I want to go across to, let's go to Harsh. Harsh, yes, I'm coming across to you right now. There's some movement which has been made there in terms of the investigation. One person has been detained for questioning. Take us through what's happening.
Right, Shivangi, this is the big breakthrough. This is, in fact, the first breakthrough in this case. The real brother of the accused father, Rovin Verma, who is identified as Sonu Verma, has been detained for questioning. He was held last night. This information has conveyed by the officials of the Bulandshahr police. They've also conveyed that 5 different teams have been constituted to launch a manhunt to find out the father-son duo who are still absconding. Remember, this is the day 5 from the tragedy. Now, joining me on the broadcast is in fact the uncle of Riyansh. आपने अभी हमको एक फेसबुक प्रोफाइल दिखाया जो हमारे पास में जिसकी तस्वीर भी है. हम कल से लगातार ये बता रहे हैं कि रियांश के परिवार ये आरोप लगा रहा है कि ये जिसने गोली चलाई थी वो हो सकता है उसकी उम्र 18 साल से ज़्यादा हो. ये फेसबुक प्रोफाइल भी अब एक निकल कर सामने आई है. इसके बारे में क्या कहना चाहेंगे?
इसके बारे में यही कहना चाहूँगा, जैसा कि मैंने पहले भी बार बार बोला है और प्रत्येक मीडिया से मैंने ये बोला है, जो लोकल मीडिया के लोग भी मेरे पास काफ़ी लोग आए हैं और उन्होंने भी यही क्वेश्चन मेरे से कराया सेम कि उसकी एज अंडर एज है क्या. तो मैंने यही बोला है कि उसकी एज अंडर एज नहीं है, 18+ है. और बार बार मैंने यही बोला है हर मीडिया से और मीडिया के माध्यम से यही बोलने की कोशिश करें कि प्रशासन उसके डॉक्यूमेंट चेक कराए और उससे निकलवाए. जिस स्कूल में वो पढ़ता था वहाँ से उसके जो भी डॉक्यूमेंट, आधार कार्ड, डेट ऑफ बर्थ सर्टिफिकेट जो भी मिल जाए वो लेके आए, चेक करे. देन आफ्टर ये चीज़ें क्लियर हो जाएंगी कि वो 18+ है. और बाकी ये सारा कार्य प्रशासन का है. बाकी जो आपके चैनल के माध्यम से मैं अब भी यही कहूँगा कि प्रशासन इस पर ज़्यादा प्रेशराइज करे और उसकी एज का फैक्टर क्लियर करे. और मेरी तरफ से तो मैं अब भी कहूँगा कि ये लड़का 18 साल से ऊपर का ही है. जी.
बुलंदशहर पुलिस ने 5 अलग अलग टीमें हैं वो गठित करी हैं जो आरोपी है और उनके पिता को ढूंढने के लिए। उनके जो बड़े भाई हैं उनको गिरफ्तार पूछताछ के लिए हिरासत में लिया गया है। आपको क्या इस बारे में कोई जानकारी पुलिस प्रशासन की तरफ से दी गई है?
हाँ, हमारे को इस पुलिस प्रशासन द्वारा ये जानकारी दी गई है कि हमने उनके बड़े भाई को यहाँ पे पूछताछ के लिए बुला लिया है और रात भी इसके रिगार्डिंग ये सारी चीज़ें दबिश वगैरह डाली थी उन्होंने। जब पुलिस बड़े भाई को उनको उठाया, उनकी फैमिली को उठाया था, तो उन्होंने हमें इत्तला करी थी पुलिस वालों ने कि हाँ ऐसे ऐसे हमने उठा लिया। और हमारी 3 से 4 टीम हमारी प्रशासन की अलग अलग बना रखी है हमने, जो अलग अलग जगह दबिश दे रही हैं। जो उन्हें लीड मिल पा रही है प्रशासन को, वहाँ अपना दबिश दे रही हैं। अभी भी सुबह मेरी इंचार्ज साहब से बात हुई है तो उन्होंने भी मुझे ये बताया कि टीम लगी हुई है, पर फिर भी अभी कोई जो मुख्य आरोपी हैं रॉबिन वर्मा, रिंकू और कृष्णा वर्मा, वो उनकी पकड़ से बाहर हैं। और मैं अभी भी यही चाहूँगा कि जल्दी से जल्दी उन्हें पकड़ा जाए, सख्त से उन पर कार्रवाई की जाए, उनका लाइसेंस रेस्ट किया जाए और उन्हें जेल भेजा जाए, दोनों मुख्य आरोपियों को।
Now this in fact is the big breakthrough, yes, because Bulandshahr police have finally decided to take some action. First person has been detained at least for questioning. Now let us also tell you that Republic is the only channel that is intensively reporting the matter, and now finally we can see some action. Also police officials have confirmed that 5 different teams have been constituted to find out the father-son duo who are absconding since day one of the tragedy, as Rehansh continues to fight for his life. He remains in coma. His condition remains critical, at least at this point. But this is the first breakthrough that the real brother of accused father has been detained, at least for questioning, by the Bulandshahr police here in Uttar Pradesh, Bulandshahr.
Right. Okay. And you know, like you said, the Republic has been asking the right questions. The Republic has been asking why is a father-son duo, why are they on the run for so long? It's been so many days, Harsh, and this is what we are pointing out. We also spoke yesterday, Harsh, and if you could just tell our viewers a little bit more about it. Our colleagues were on the ground and they were speaking to the parents of Rehansh, and the parents have said that the accused is not a minor at all. Yes, Harsh.
Well, right, Shivangi. The family members of Rehansh have continued to maintain that the accused might not be a minor in reality. However, he's still being considered as a minor. However, there is no confirmation about his real age at this point, but the family members have continued to maintain. Now we have a Facebook profile, a screenshot of the Facebook profile of the minor with us that claims that the accused might be born in August 2007. That ultimately means that he is not really a minor. However, the exact confirmation is yet to come. But the big breakthrough here is that 5 different teams have been constituted, and there is at least some action happening here on the ground. Police is at least now responding, and 1 person has been detained for questioning, and as Rehansh continues to fight for his life at Noida Hospital as his condition remains critical.
Right. Okay. So Harsh getting us all these details coming in. Harsh, before I let you go, I just want a quick report from you about what the police is saying. You know, it's been so many days. There are multiple teams which have been sent out to find the father-son duo. What is stopping them from finding them? Are they having any kind of obstacles? Why the delay?
Although there is no official confirmation by the police authorities, at least at this point, but they are now saying that 5 different teams have been constituted. Now also remember, we are talking about a licensed pistol here, which was used for these celebratory firings that ultimately struck Rehansh on his head, and that ultimately led to this tragedy. The big failure on Uttar Pradesh police at this point is that they have even failed to seize the weapon that was used in these celebratory shots that ultimately struck the 8-year-old child, leading to this tragedy. But now this is the day 5 from the tragic incident, and Uttar Pradesh police is yet to arrest any of these accused or even seize the weapon that was used for these celebratory firings. Now they have constituted, after 4 days, they have finally decided to constitute teams to launch a manhunt, and they have now finally detained a man to at least question him, summon him about his brother's whereabouts.
Getting those details, Harsh. I'll be coming back to you for more because we're tracking the story very closely here on Republic TV. The investigation has picked up. One person has been detained. Let's move ahead to some of the other stories coming in. Next is Bharat in 1 minute. Let's get started. Indigo has announced new direct routes connecting Navi Mumbai International Airport with Ahmedabad, Rajkot, Kolhapur, effective 29 March. In an official statement, the airline said that it will operate its ATR aircraft on those routes, further strengthening its operations from NMIA and enhancing regional air connectivity in the region. In Manipur, security forces have intensified operations along the border. 4 cadres of People's Liberation Army and People's Revolutionary Party of Indo-Pak were arrested in separate operations. 2 more PREPAK cadres were picked up from Imphal West and other districts, strengthening the ongoing crackdown on unlawful outfits in the state. The ACB is conducting raids at the residence of Vijay Chaudhary, brother of Deputy CM Surendra Chaudhary. Vijay, an active Jammu and Kashmir police inspector, is under investigation in a recently registered disproportionate assets case. And viewers, much more coming up. On the side, Rajasthan government orders immediate shutdown of illegal mining operations. This is a top story tracking here entire day. Stay tuned. We are live and we are breaking.
Our pure Shahi Paneer Masala. Delicious, healthy, every day.
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी। अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने, सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा प्योर मसाला।
प्योर सूजी पास्ता, उबालो, मिलाओ और खाओ।
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है, सबका राजा प्योर मसाला।
यानी इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल। ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े। क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see
All right, let's take a look at the headlines at this hour. Rajasthan government orders immediate suspension of all sorts of illegal mining that is taking place in the Aravalli ranges in Rajasthan. Let's take a look at the headlines at 11:30. Rajasthan government orders immediate shutdown of illegal mining operations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarks for a two-day state visit to Israel amid deepening ties between the nations.
I use these tariffs, took in hundreds of billions of dollars to make great deals for our country, both economically and on a national security basis.
Donald Trump justifies tariffs in the State of the Union address, says use of tariffs to secure deals.
Gasoline, which reached a peak of over $6 a gallon in some states under my predecessor, the great state of Iowa, just a few weeks ago, I even saw $1.85 a gallon for gasoline.
Donald Trump says American natural oil production at an all-time high because of his words, drill baby drill. Taliban attacks Pakistan along Durand Line days after Pakistan launched airstrikes on Afghanistan. 8-year-old Riyansh fights for his life in coma while shooters remain still on the run. So the big breaking news that we took cognizance of today morning is Rajasthan government's statement, where the government has acknowledged that illegal mining operations in Aravalli ranges will be immediately shut down. Now, the Rajasthan government has officially acknowledged that the land allocated for mining to the private company Ojasvi Marbles and Granites Private Limited is part of the Aravalli mountain range, and consequently the government has directed an immediate halt to all mining activities in the area. Now, this is the first time that the Rajasthan government has recognized that land designated for mining is within the Aravalli range and deemed the mining there as illegal. This is a big news that we are tracking at this point in time. I have my colleague Shambhavi live with us. Shambhavi, again, going back to the big move by the Rajasthan government after consistent, rigorous campaigning by Republic TV over the definition of Aravalli and the explosive interview of our editor-in-chief with the former Chief Justice of India. This is a big news and also a good news because, let's face it, pollution is at all-time high in India. Shambhavi.
Yes, this is a huge Republic impact that we are seeing right now. And this is the first official admission. It is very important to point out again and again that this is the first official admission from the government of Rajasthan saying that this, in fact, the land which was allotted to Ojasvi Marbles and Granite Private Limited was given on a ground which is considered under the Aravalli range, and the mining going on there was illegal. This is a clear admission, first admission by the government of Rajasthan. And even when the Republic was doing the detailed reportage from the Aravalli ranges, that is when our editor-in-chief had that explosive interview with the former CJI Gavai. And even then, a lot of questions remained unanswered. A lot of questions that why was the committee's decision, why was the committee's suggestions not considered while giving the final order. And let us also tell our viewers what is the final order. The order that was given in November that any mountain which is below the range of 100 meter will not be considered a part of Aravalli range, which is more than 90% of the mountains in Aravallis, which will then open those mountains to construction, exploitation, illegal mining and all kinds of different activities. Now that is what was being pointed out. Now what Republic helped in pointing out and bringing to light was that the condition of the Aravallis, the condition of the mining there in Aravallis before even the acceptance and before even the releasing of this new definition, there was rampant illegal mining going on left, right and center in almost every district where Aravalli range is expanded. So this comes in as a huge Republic impact. That first huge Republic impact was the Supreme Court taking a suo moto cognizance of this matter. There was suo moto proceeding going on Supreme Court in which they had put the committee's this definition in abeyance and has said that no new land will be allotted for mining before the prior consent or prior permission from the Apex Court itself. And the second one is this, when the government of Rajasthan has said that the land which was allotted to Ojasvi Marbles and Granite Private Limited to this one entity for mining was a part of the Aravalli range and the mining going on there was illegal. Back to studio.
Absolutely, Shambhavi. And these mountains that we see in the Aravalli ranges, they take millions of years to build. And then because of some vested interest of some authorities, alongside these mining agencies, construction goes rampant in these areas. But this is a big move by Rajasthan government, and of course will be a breather for Delhi citizens as well, because we have been closely watching this case and continuing our reportage on this. And you yourself went on ground zero to track how illegal mining was going on after sunset.
See, it definitely becomes very important because Aravalli is considered as the lungs of the Delhi NCR. Aravalli ranges are the ones which are formed millions and millions years ago, which are the ones which are stopping from Delhi into turning into a desert, into a hot desert. Aravalli ranges stops the dust, stop the sand which is blowing from Rajasthan to reach Delhi and is preventing Delhi from becoming a desert. So this becomes a very important case indeed, a very important environmental case, given the pollution also, the state of the pollution. Even the GRAP 4 guidelines have been implemented the first time for this season now. So amid these conditions, this comes in as a huge relief. Also, the fact that it was caught on Republic's camera. It was caught on Republic's camera that how the mining was going on beyond post-sunset, how there was illegal mining, there was digging going on beyond sunset, there was use of heavy machinery against the rules. There are a set of rules which needs to be fulfilled for a mining to operate legally, but that was not being followed. That was being broken left, right and center. We also caught a bureaucrat, we also caught a mining owner accepting on camera that yes, there is a rampant breaking of rules and laws in the mining business, and we also caught him giving bribe to the Republic team. So this is a huge Republic impact which is coming in as a huge development. Back to you.
All right, thank you so much, Shambhavi. Continue to keep a close watch on what's going on in the Aravalli ranges. And now moving on to another story where a speeding SUV rammed into a car in Goa, killing a 65-year-old who was on a holiday with his family, in fact. As per eyewitness, the occupants even tried to switch seats after the accident, while police is still investigating the accident based on available CCTV footages and eyewitness accounts. Here is a report on what really happened.
A high-speed rented Thar killed a 65-year-old in Goa. Bhagat Ram Sharma was killed after the speeding SUV rammed his hatchback at the Happy Bar junction in Asagaon. It is being reported that a young woman was driving the car. The incident sparked immediate tension as onlookers claimed the SUV's occupants tried to switch seats after the crash. The police have started investigation on the basis of CCTV footage and eyewitnesses. The family of the deceased was on a safari in Goa in their private car. The impact was so severe that the front portion of the car was shattered. The accident spread panic in the area and local residents rushed to help. While investigation is on, a 5-month-old baby fortunately survived this horrific accident.
All right, a big breaking news, Republic political scoop on Congress DMK seat sharing. Congress has still not been officially invited for seat sharing talks. While other parties of DMK allies are given appointments, the Congress committee is still waiting. So DMK Congress talks are hanging on the balance as of now. The Congress idea on power sharing remains intact and no political party will. The party revealed that Congress held talks including Vijay's TVK before the alliance was announced. Sources say that Congress was invited by TVK's Vijay for an alliance. Girish Shodhankar makes it clear that the Congress's idea on power sharing remains intact and that no political party will say no to power. Now, sources also reveal from the party that Congress held talks including Vijay's TVK before the alliance was announced. Now sources say that Congress was invited by Vijay for an alliance. So this is a big news ahead of Tamil Nadu elections, where we earlier saw that how we were anticipating any sort of conclusion from the Congress and DMK talks that have been taking place. But as of now, there is no alliance on the charts. And in fact, we're getting to know that Congress might go into alliance with TVK's Vijay's. All right, I have my colleague Sharda live with us. Sharda, this is a big news ahead of the elections. Of course, Congress seems to be talking to everybody, but right now we don't have any conclusive, decisive answer from the Congress as far as alliance goes. But do you think, what is the latest on the talks between Congress and TVK's Vijay?
Well, as you say, the Congress and the TVK alliance is not complete. The talks are not going on from the presidential to the party presidents in Delhi or from the TVK leader Vijay. However, the party leaderships in the state were informing that they had an alliance talk with actor Vijay before confirming Congress alliance with the DMK, which was 2 months back. Seems the MPs who had important tweets on Vijay, who supported Vijay during the Karur tragedy, that includes Jyotimani and Manikam Thakur, had noted that Vijay had approached them for an alliance with the Congress. However, Congress continued to stay with the DMK, hoping that there would be power sharing. Day before yesterday, to remind our audience, if you know, the KC Venugopal, the party national general secretary, also Girish Shodankar met Kanimuri and MK Stalin at their residences, and the talks went inconclusive, is what our top sources are saying now. Girish Shodankar and KC Venugopal were talking about power sharing. The DMK has outrightly rejected the idea of power sharing with Congress in the state of Tamil Nadu if they win the elections in 2026. And now Congress leaders say that their idea on power sharing remains intact, but it's just that they've not decided to have the talks with the DMK right now, because DMK has not called them for an official meeting yet. We know DMK started the talks on 22nd February, Sunday, following which all the other minor alliance parties with the DMK, that includes the Indian Union Muslim League and also the MNM, which is owned by Kamal Hassan, the MDMK of Vaikos, and also the Communist and the Marxist Communist Party and the Vidudalai Chiruthaigal Katchi done by Thirumavalan will be holding talks 26th and 27th, which is tomorrow and day after. However, Congress still misses an official invite from the DMK Election Manifesto Committee that is holding the talks, and also the Congress committee is still waiting to make sure that the DMK holds the talks. We're also scoop taken by the Republic that the Congress was ready to let go on the power sharing idea and speak about seat sharing, getting 20 more seats from 2021 elections, which is 45 all put together, and 2 Rajya Sabha seats. Now, again, the question looms back in, if the Congress High Command is looking for power sharing, what is the Congress committee at the state is planning to decide to talk with the DMK on? And top sources from the Congress party inform us that the DMK is still not invited them, shows that the DMK is not interested in power sharing with the Congress, which keeps the Congress the road open to have an alliance with the TVK. With elections just 2 months away, it's expected that the Congress decision will make a huge impact whether if they go with Vijay's TVK.
All right, thank you, Sharda, for getting us all of these details. Now, shifting our focus to the tragedy that struck in Jharkhand, the Redbird air ambulance crash in Jharkhand was not an isolated incident. In fact, there have been many more before it, and the much one digs deeper. This one digs deeper. In fact, the casual attention of airlines to norms becomes apparent. Watch this report as Republic's editor-in-chief, Arnab Goswami, exposes the conflict of interest in India's aviation sector, conflict between aviation regulators, private operators, and maintenance lapses that turned a routine flight into a fatal disaster. Take a look.
Now, here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, And as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same spice jet. This is the same spice jet that does not have the money to play the Bangladesh government, which is why it had been, I don't know the present situation, not allowed to fly in Bangladeshi airspace. They're out of money. Who is the owner of SpiceJet? This is the same SpiceJet, ladies and gentlemen, when another SpiceJet took off from Patna to Delhi on 19 June 2022. It caught fire soon after taking off from the airport. Flames were seen on the left wing of the aircraft. 2 blades were bent. So you should see the visuals then and now, ladies and gentlemen. Then and now. Look at that and now. Ladies and gentlemen, a SpiceJet plane catches fire in mid-air in December. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is 19 June 2022 and then now. And you are flying at your peril in this country. The government couldn't care less. SpiceJet is a near bankrupt airline. There is a nice duopoly going on between Air India and Indigo. The politicians fly chartered planes anyway. But I want to remind them, 2nd July 2022, another SpiceJet plane forced to make an emergency landing in Delhi after the crew noticed smoke in the cabin at an altitude exceeding 5,000 feet. Same SpiceJet. But I don't think the Civil Aviation Minister is angry with SpiceJet. It is part of the problem. The Civil Aviation Minister will be angry with Republic, not with SpiceJet, not with Indigo, not with Air India. The Civil Aviation Minister busy talking to the French about what planes they will be buying. Is doing bigger stuff. He doesn't care about airlines in this country. On 12 September 2025, another SpiceJet SG 2906 Gujarat to Ahmedabad makes an emergency landing without landing gear. Without landing gear, look at its tires, they fall off. But the Civil Aviation Minister and the government won't be angry with SpiceJet. They will be angry with Republic, you see. A SpiceJet plane, 11 September 2025, Delhi to Kathmandu. Passengers are stranded inside without any air conditioning. We're told it's a technical fault. This is the reality of Indian aviation. But we have to discuss big things, you see. Why should big politicians talk about small things? Small things, ladies and gentlemen. Talking about what are small things for politicians. 1,193 kilometers from Delhi in Jharkhand, there is a family which in desperation has to get into an air ambulance. There is a man, I think in his 60s, who is very unwell, and he has to take an air ambulance. So the family takes an 8 lakh rupee loan. 8 lakh rupee loan to get the gentleman into the plane. This is the last visual of the gentleman getting into the plane. And then the chartered plane falls, it crashes. The man has no chance to get to a hospital and 7 people die. And I want to tell the Civil Aviation Ministry, wake up for God's sake. Someone wake up the Civil Aviation Minister, the non-existent Civil Aviation Minister of India, busy in Davos, blah, blah, blah. Because as I have details today, this chartered plane which crashed, there is a judgment dated December 24, 2025, in a writ petition dismissed by the Delhi High Court, where the Delhi High Court says that MS Redbird Airways Private Limited, along with related entities, had conflicts of interest by having direct ownership interests. Ladies and gentlemen, in short, the court had flagged off fraudulent practices of this particular airline which chartered plane crashed in Jharkhand yesterday. They were found to have not adhered to regulatory protocol, flouted tender norms, and the company's founder was linked to regulators and officials. And there were all kinds of allegations, including those of bribery, wrong use of the tender process, and there were very serious allegations. I want to know, and the nation wants to know from the Civil Aviation Minister and the central government, how did such an airline run a chartered service in our country? But of course, these are small things for the big Civil Aviation Minister. He's a big man. He's Naidu's representative. Chandrababu Naidu's own representative in Delhi. Why should he bother about small things? Let him meet French diplomats about big commercial deals. Ladies and gentlemen, the all the papers are with me and we need to expose all these people. Because also today, let me tell you, 1,500 kilometers from Ranchi, and this is the brilliant state of civil aviation in our country. I'm sure we are moving towards some Viksit Bharat. A Pavanans helicopter crashed into the sea. All in one day. This happens in Mayabandar, in the Andaman Sea. Now, what these people, these DGCA people say, it's not a crash, it's a short landing. You can change the words DGCA, but get your reality checked. This is a crash. It happened into the sea. It is a crash. Now, let me tell you about why I'm so angry with these people is because it's been 8 months after the flight AI-171 crash. It happened on June 12, 2025. Till today, we do not have answers. Till today, as to what happened in that plane. We are told the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau is investigating. I have no faith in them. This is a fraud investigation because inside AIB are DGCA officials. These are the same DGCA officials who oversaw all the malpractices in Air India and allowed it to happen. Do you expect them to have a real investigation? As far as the parliamentary panel is concerned, I have even less faith in them. And let me tell you why. Because this Civil Aviation Ministry, the central government has created an absolute horrible mess. I want to ask the central government, how was Tata Sons allowed to bring in a former Civil Aviation Secretary, Pradeep Singh Kharola, on board as a top advisor for Air India? Is the central government aware that Kharola was Civil Aviation Secretary between February 2019 and September 2021? This is the period when he oversaw the privatization and disinvestment protest, which ended in handing over Air India to the Tata Group. Now the same man is employed by the Tatas. Can you imagine? You're sitting as Civil Aviation Secretary. Mr. Kharola, come on my program. I want to ask you a few questions. Were you Civil Aviation Secretary between 2019 and late 2021? Were you responsible for the disinvestment and privatization of Air India in a key position? Were you in that position? Was it part of your fiduciary responsibility to hand over Air India to Tata? And now you are a Tata employee. You're a Tata advisor. Within 4 years of handing over Air India to the Tatas, you take employment. The Tatas employs. I don't know whether this is legally or illegal or illegal, but I want to ask the Tatas, is this ethical? Is this good convention? Why is the government allowing it? If you are told there's a cooling off period, is it only to be looked at technically? Tomorrow, a major, all kinds of, is it true or not that top officials from certain petrochemicals ministries also get employment with petrochemical majors? Civil aviation officials get employed with airlines. Is that right? Is it ethical? If on the one side you're doing a favor or doing business with a private company and after some time you roll over to the other side and you get employed with the very same company so that you can handle the regulatory environment. Is this correct? Should we not ask these questions to the Tatas? Would Ratan Tata have allowed it? Would Ratan Tata have allowed it? Mr. Chandrasekharan, the nation wants to know. Now the fact is, ladies and gentlemen, too much conflict of interest, everybody in everybody else's hair. These questions are not good. These facts are not acceptable. The government should look at these things in detail. There is too much of an incestuous behavior within the civil aviation fraternity, between the ministry, between DGC and the private companies. I want to share one more fact which is quite remarkable. As far as civil aviation in our country is concerned. And that is this. Is there a unit in DGCA which is of Flight Operation Inspectors, FOI? And is it true that the FOI hires pilots from airlines like Air India, Indigo, Akasa, or people on deputation? How many FOIs are there from different airlines in DGCA? In that sense, is DGCA therefore pulling in the interests of private players again? How can you be part of a private sector, part of the government at the same time? How can you be? How can you be Civil Aviation Secretary one day and then get employed by Air India the next moment when you were in the exact position which took the decision to hand over Air India? to the Tata Group, to Air India. Now, ladies and gentlemen, these are questions many of these people may say that technically it's not wrong. Well, if it's technically wrong, in terms of convention, is it correct? In terms of ethics, morality, and the aspects that are sometimes overridden, is it right? Ladies and gentlemen, crash after crash. In a country where the Supreme Court has to pull up these airlines for the prices they make the common man pay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's look within and realize if this mess were to be a mess that did not concern you and your family's safety, if you were never to take a flight, even then I would have said someone you know is going to take a flight somewhere. It is time for you to raise your voice and realize you too are a stakeholder in the civil aviation business. Not just the private players and the bureaucrats, and of course the netas. You matter.
All right, so big questions by Republic TV. But the latest is that no black box and no CVR cockpit voice recorder found on plane that crashed in Jharkhand. So big questions being asked by Republic TV there on conflict of interest between aviation authorities and aviation companies.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, एवरीडे।
Now here's the reality, it's fact not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद ये तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा आर प्योर मसाला। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
Now here's the reality, it's fact not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take.
सवाल मेरा आपसे है, ये बताइए कितने लोग इसमें इन्वॉल्व थे और आप लोगों की क्या भूमिका रही है इसमें? क्या सवाल सर ये 30 नहीं, ये बताइए 3 लोग जो आपने सस्पेंड किए गए हैं, उन लोगों के नाम बताइए आपने, कौन वो लोग थे जिनको सस्पेंड किया गया?
ऑथराइज नहीं हो बोलने के लिए।
अच्छा, उसके साथ बताइए क्या थर्ड पार्टी भी इन्वॉल्व है इसमें? थर्ड पार्टी भी इन्वॉल्व है इसमें क्या? क्योंकि पैसा इसमें गया है 590 करोड़। क्या पैसा सर आपको चोट लग जाएगी? पैसा इन्वॉल्व है क्या इसमें? आप बताइए थर्ड पार्टी। रिपब्लिक टीवी सवाल पूछ रहा है आपसे, आप बताइए क्या इसमें और लोग भी इन्वॉल्व है क्या?
Against Lawrence Bishnoi's legal team has been attacked.
Multiple shots were fired at that car near the ISBT.
Shootout that has taken place. In fact, we are also picking up that Lawrence Bishnoi's legal team was present in the car. They were basically on their way back
from Asia's largest news headquarters. Setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
Thank you for joining us on Republic TV. You're watching the live report, ladies and gentlemen. Getting in breaking news on the agenda-setting stories this afternoon. We have exclusive details on the crash in Jharkhand. In just a few minutes, here are the headlines. 35 million people in Pakistan would have died, says Donald Trump in his State of Union address, exposes Pakistan completely on Operation Sindoor. Big impact of the Republic investigation on Aravalli. Back-to-back impact. Now the Rajasthan government, which was earlier in denial, has decided to stop illegal mining. They were in denial, but exposed by the Republic investigation, they've been forced to admit that yes, we were wrong and companies were mining at the Aravallis. Justice for Ayanj campaign continues as Republic breaks the story, follows up on the campaign. The police, which was in denial until yesterday, have begun to move. They've begun to scramble. Shooters not arrested, but the family, the uncle, has now been called in for questioning. He's been picked up. Another new revelation in the Jharkhand crash. We are told that there was no flight recorder, there was no black box in the plane that crashed, the air ambulance that took off from Ranchi. Getting in some initial details of the investigation of the plane that crashed, the air ambulance that crashed after takeoff from Ranchi. The crash itself was in Latehar, Palamu, and we're getting in more details of the initial investigation that was conducted by the AAIB, the team which was in Jharkhand. Yesterday, we've picked up some details, the initial report with us right now. And the initial report suggests that there was no black box found, there was no cockpit voice recorder, there was no flight data recorder. But interestingly, the report also goes on to immediately give two reasons or two rules to say why it did not have a black box or a data flight recorder. It cites how there was a rule that said that the first certificate of airworthiness for the aircraft was issued in 1987 prior to 1st Jan 2016. But they then talk about the applicability date for requirements. They claim that as far as these planes are concerned, planes which are less than 5,700 kilograms, the maximum takeoff weight, they claim for flights which are less than that, there is no requirement. This report also says the first certificate of airworthiness for the aircraft was issued in 1987 prior to 1st January 2016, which is the applicability date for the CVR requirements, and prior to 1st January 1990. Accordingly, there was no mandatory, they claim there was no mandatory regulatory requirement for installation of a cockpit voice recorder or a flight data recorder on this aircraft at the time of its original certification. So this is a new thing that we are hearing now, that there was no black box. But what I found interesting, Harsha, is that this report goes into detail of why the plane did not need to have a flight recorder or a black box. So, how does it add up?
Niranjan, one thing, because the weight of the aircraft was less, and in the year 1987, there was no requirement, there was no accessibility, data for the CVR requirement or the FDR requirement for the aircraft which are lesser than 5,700 kg, and Therefore, this is very old aircraft, Niranjan. This is 1987 aircraft. The aircraft is 25 to 30 years old, and but the larger question here is, Niranjan, it had CVR, it didn't have CVR or didn't have FDR. The bigger question is, after Learjet 45 crash, the DGCA ordered audit of all the helicopter charter company which are providing domestic services, ambulance services to the passengers, to the influential people. There has to supposed to be an audit, and there was no audit of this particular company. The larger question is, if there was an audit, then they didn't find out that this particular plane didn't have CVR and FDR, and now it's a requirement. Now it's the mandatory requirement in the aviation sector that the charters, the planes, the ambulances, they need to have CVR and FDR. If this plane was old, then also where is the audit report? Did the audit report already tell the regulatory body that this particular aircraft is not having CVR and FDR? And Niranjan, now when the CVR, FDR black box is not there at the accident spot, which the AIB didn't get it because it was not in the plane, it will be very difficult for the investigators to investigate in the Jharkhand plane crash. They will have to depend on the flight, weather radar. They will have to, depend on the audios of the eyewitness, what they saw. They will have to also depend on the, metals and the debris distribution which they found at the accident spot, like the nose, where exactly was the tail, body and nose of the aircraft. Like yesterday, we were already explaining to our viewers that the engine was found 200 meters away. So on all these possibility and aspects, now AIB will have to investigate and will be finding out what were the reasons of the crash, what was the communication between ATC and the pilot. Only that will exactly tell to our viewers and to everyone why exactly and how the control was lost. It was the weather deviation, the path which the pilot in command took, the right path, 40 nautical miles near Varanasi. Was that a weather very critical? It was weather condition area. All this will be communicated only through a communication between ATC and the pilot in command, but no black box. No black box, no finding what happened inside the aircraft will come out to be known by the investigators, because there's no black box, there's no CVR, there's no FDR. That means what happened inside the aircraft, what is the communication between Mr. Bhagat and Mr. Singh, the pilot in command, that will never be known to anyone exactly what transpired for, the reasons behind the crash. Back to you.
Okay. Thank you for that. I'm moving on now, Harsha. Thank you for that update. Going across to the IDFC first scandal. 590 crore rupees that was taken out from the government of Haryana account. And the Chief Minister says it's all come back now, everything is okay. IDFC first says they're just low-level employees who are doing it. But now the full details are emerging, and Republic has the details. We haven't let go of the story. Let me go across straight to the breaking news update now coming in. I'm going across to the details. Pranav is joining us with the breaking news input of the investigation. We are hearing that the first letter, the complaint itself was on the 23rd when the full details unraveled. And secondly, we are also hearing that it was Ribhav, Rishi and Abhay. We have names now finally. Ribhav, Rishi, Abhay. Ribhav is the IDFC bank manager. He's been arrested. Abhay was the relationship manager. So how is it that the IDFC bank manager and relationship manager, these are not low-lying, low-level officials in the bank? Pranav, how did they try to pass it off as low-level employees?
Well, Niranjan, what the initial probe has revealed is that these officials of the bank were in fact in touch, or they kind of orchestrated the entire scandal, so to say, along with Haryana government officials. The names of the officials who served in the Haryana government are not yet known, but our sources are telling us that the 590 crore transaction that is under scandal right now, the investigating agencies have kind of traced the origins of where the money exactly came from. So the probe is still underway, even as the ones responsible for it from the bank side are facing the law right now.
Yes, but can I, I'm just coming back to you right now for a second. I'm getting in the names now. In fact, Pranav, maybe this is, I'm not sure you're privy to these details, but I'm just getting in the breaking news update now. Let me read out some of the names that I'm picking up. These are not low-level employees. One is an IDFC bank manager. One is the relationship manager. So you're assuming that he's the liaison officer between the IDFC bank and the Haryana government. So you have names. These are not low-lying officials. Do they classify as low-lying officials when they're the liaison officials between the government of Haryana and the bank? You can't really claim that they are low-level officials, can you?
Well, absolutely not. In fact, one of them is a manager, and what we're talking about is huge amounts of money. The bank has in fact said that they have returned the money, but just to tell you, the two main accused, they orchestrated the scam along with the wife. I mean, one of the wives of the, Swasti, for example, another person who's been named here is Abhay's wife, and she owns a private company. In fact, 3,300 crore was transferred to the account of one Swastik Desh project. So it seems to be a pre-orchestrated, a pre-planned, operation along with officials who are in a position to take decisions. Because the initial reports or initial data that was shared with us also showed that the signatures were forged, that all the transactions were carried out not in a digital manner, but in a legitimate manner, wherein all the transactions were, all the processes were in fact followed. So it means that the officials who were carrying out these kind of transactions, both from the bank side as well as from the government side, may have been the ones who were in a decision-making procedure, decision-making position. So it shows that these were not low-lying officers. They were important officers who were carrying out these transactions, Niranjan.
And I'm just picking up one more bit of information which I want to talk to you about, Pranav, a little bit. Because 300 crore, we are told from the information that we've just picked up, 300 crore was transferred to a Swastik Desh project. What is this Swastik Desh project? Any details you have? So essentially from what we are understanding, 590 crore swindled by the bank manager using his family members to another account, which we are told is a Swastik Desh project or something like that. Do we know what this was?
Well, we do not know the exact details of what this project was, but the modus operandi just shows the modus operandi. It necessarily means that there were certain kind of entities or projects that were created. One, for example, as is the private company. In fact, in another case which is related to this, that's the AU Small Finance Bank, one of the transactions worth 47 crore had 14 transactions. Money was transferred to it from 14 different locations and 14 different accounts, legitimate accounts of private banks. So it shows that there were certain entities created, there were certain projects created, and a facade created to ensure that these transactions actually took place, and they were made to look like legitimate transactions for projects such as this, the details of which we will learn as the bank as well as the government, in fact, or the law enforcement agencies probe the matter further.
Okay. Thank you for joining us with those inputs there, Pranav. On the story that only Republic TV is following up, we in fact questioned some of these officials at the branch yesterday. And we will continue to investigate, however long it takes. Let's move on now to another headline this morning. Donald Trump has exposed Pakistan on Operation Sindoor. Now, what has Donald Trump said this time? For a leader who has been saying all these days that he stopped the war, I stopped the war, I stopped the war, I stopped the war, he said it 100 times. But for the first time, he has said it's actually Pakistan Prime Minister who went begging to him. He says, the Pakistan Prime Minister, he dialed me, and he says, 35 million would have died. He says, 35 million would have died, said the Pakistan Prime Minister to him during Operation Sindoor, which means even Shehbaz Sharif knew that India was going to nuke Pakistan. He says it was a nuclear war, it was heading towards a nuclear war, and that's Donald Trump on the right. Donald Trump on the right. Donald Trump said that Pakistan would have been nuked if they had escalated Operation Sindoor. And that is why he had to intervene to ensure that people were saved. Let's play out the soundbite of Donald Trump.
Cambodia and Thailand, Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement. Kosovo and Serbia, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the Congo and Rwanda, and of course the war in Gaza, which proceeds at a very low level. It's just about there. And I want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for your help. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, Major General Rajasthan Govt joining us on the broadcast. General Kochar, now we were given to understand, all these days, the claim being made by Pakistan across the world that, Donald Trump intervened. And whatever else they've been saying for the last 1 year, Donald Trump has just punctured that with one line. It was Shehbaz Sharif who went begging and said 35 million people will die if you don't intervene. So essentially it was Shehbaz Sharif went to Donald Trump begging, saying, Uncle Sam, please help us, otherwise India will nuke us during Operation Sindoor.
You see, if you take this statement back to the chronological time of the events which have actually taken place at that point of time, you would understand that a stage had come in this Operation Sindoor where the Pakistani air bases were getting rattled. There were 11 air bases and 6 of them were seriously damaged. There were aircraft inside the bunkers which had been destroyed. And if you see that gallantry award ceremony of Pakistan, 30 to 40 gallantry awards were presented posthumously. It means that those people had died in these strikes. So it is an open secret now that the extent of damage which the Indian forces made on Pakistan. Why Shehbaz Sharif went to Donald Trump was because the Pakistan's air defense network was practically shattered, and they knew that without an air defense architecture available to them, Indians will have a free for all, and as it is, our missiles were not been able to get stopped by the Pakistanis, and they had a free run. So we never heard of any Pakistani air defense system destroying any of our projectiles in the air. So if that was the case, obviously, if this war had prolonged beyond 4 days, there would have been the maximum damage, including for the first time after 1971, we saw places like Rawalpindi were struck, which never we had actually gone so deep into Pakistan. So the capability of the BrahMos missile was quite evident, and it was playing in the minds of the Pakistanis. That's why they went to Trump, and this is a fact, because after going to Trump, there was a meeting which was arranged between the DGMOs of both the countries, and a ceasefire was asked for. And why? And it's quite intriguing also. I would like to share this information for the benefit of all the viewers, because many times people are asking you questions that why did we agree to the ceasefire? 4 days, why did we stop it? So you need to understand that our political aim was not to start a war with Pakistan. Our political aim was to destroy their terror infrastructure, which we did. And after our political aim was achieved, there was no point in extending this war any further. And that was the reason we agreed to the ceasefire, not for any other reason.
Sir, I want to quickly get in Major General K.K. Sinha also joining us on the broadcast. General Sinha, it's clear now. I mean, last 1 year, Donald Trump has wasted time talking about, intervening, 8-9 months. But the truth is, he's saying Pakistan came crying to me and I had to intervene because Pakistan Prime Minister said that India would have nuked Pakistan and 35 million Pakistanis would have died.
Good afternoon and Jai Hind. See what the Trump says. Trump has been saying, one thing or other every time he changes sometime, and I think that has got no meaning. And the world knows, and America knows, and also Trump knows that there is no intervention In India, it was a bilateral, retribution. If you remember, what was our stated military aim? Was non-escalatory. It was told loud and clear when those operations from 7th to 10th took place. Non-escalatory means if we have retributed, we have gone and we achieved our aim, we have declared it. We destroyed their camps, 10 of them, and 2 centers, both Markaz-e Toiba and Markaz-e Subhanallah, where, we have achieved our aim. They tried to do it because they escalated it next day, and then the retribution was very, very heavy. We destroyed 13 of their, air bases. So it was absolutely stated, and there is no intervention whatsoever from them.
Sir, be with me, sir. I'm sorry, sir. I'm sorry to interrupt you there, sir. Just getting in a breaking news update. Be with me, sir. I'm going across to the breaking news update. Quickly coming in from the national capital, I'm getting in a quick news update that there's been a second arrest in the racial abuse. In the case of the racial abuse in Delhi. You saw the video of a couple abusing 3 students from Arunachal Pradesh. And there has been a second arrest that has now been made. I'm getting in the details right now. The second arrest has been made. Both the couple, both of them have now been arrested. The couple has been arrested now, we are told. Effectively, as the pressure builds up, both of them have been arrested. Let's get you the details. Shambhavi was at the location. We'll go across to her. The couple, Ruby Jain was the name of the woman seen in that video, abusing the 3 women, the 3 Arunachal students, and she now has been arrested. This is the latest breaking news update coming in. The second arrest has also now been made. Okay, we're just going across to go to Shambhavi right now. She's joining us live. Let's get you the visual and show you what happened there in the national capital. That's the video of the couple, okay, Shambhavi is on the phone line. We'll play out the sequence as well. Let's pull out the sequence and what was said to the students. Shambhavi is live. Shambhavi, second arrest has been made. Both of them tried to sort of, cover up yesterday, but none of them is being taken at face value here.
Yes, we are right outside Malviya Nagar police station, and now this new update has come where a second arrest have been made of Harsh Singh. There were 2 accused in this matter, Harsh Singh and Ruby Jain in this case. We know that this started with as a petty argument between 2 neighbors where the 3 women from Arunachal Pradesh, they have called an electrician for the couple and the 3 women from Arunachal Pradesh, and several derogatory racial slurs were used, discriminatory things were said, discriminatory slurs were used, and that is when FIR was filed under several relevant sections which included outraging a woman's modesty, racial discrimination on the basis of place of birth, religion and caste. These were the 2 relevant sections under which the FIR was filed. The first arrest was made of Ruby Jain, and now the second arrest, which was the husband of Ruby Jain, Harsh Singh, has been made in this case. Back to you.
Yes, and what about the students? What about the students? Where are the students? And they've been getting a lot of support from across the country. We just heard from another union minister a few minutes back.
Well, yes, there is no update on the students yet, about the 3 students, but definitely this is a huge development because things seem to be a little silent since yesterday. But now that even Kiran Rijiju has spoken about how this kind of disrespect for the northeastern people will not be tolerated, they have taken accountability of the fact that now that they are on the position where they can create some difference, where they can fight for the northeastern people because they're good people. Kiran Rijiju has said that we will fight for them. We will not let them get insulted. And accountability that even they have the government in Delhi, so they'll make sure that nothing like this happens again. Back to you.
Okay, thank you for joining us with those details. I'm going across now to what Kiran Rijiju, the Minority Affairs Minister, said this morning on the racial abuse, the racist attack in the national capital on the 3 students from Arunachal Pradesh.
ऐसा है, अभी दिल्ली में 3 अरुणाचल लड़की के साथ मालविया नगर में जो घटना हुई है, तीनों अरुणाचल लड़की के साथ में हमारे ऑफिस से, मेरा खुद ऑफिस का स्टाफ टच में है और पहले दिन से हम दिल्ली पुलिस के टच में है। अभी नॉर्थ ईस्ट का कोई भी आदमी, लड़का लड़की, स्टूडेंट्स, किसी का साथ दिल्ली में कुछ भी घटना होता है तो तुरंत एक्शन लेता है। तो इसमें भी जो घटना हुआ मालवीय नगर में, पुलिस कार्रवाई किया, मैं खुद बात करके मैं फॉलोअप कर रहा हूँ और अरेस्ट भी हो गया है। अभी सख्ती से हम लोग कानूनी तौर पर एक्शन भी लेगा और सबक भी सिखाएगा कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लोगों का साथ बुरा बर्ताव नहीं होना चाहिए। और आपको तो मालूम ही है, पहले में तो हमारा नॉर्थ ईस्ट के बच्चों के साथ में कितना टॉर्चर होता था, मार के फेंक देता था, कोई पूछने वाला भी नहीं होता था। और पुलिस पे एक्शन नहीं लेते थे, उल्टा पुलिस भी हमारा नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लोगों को पहले तो हैरेसमेंट करते थे, आजकल तो ये कर नहीं सकता है। मैं खुद भी बैठा हूँ, मैं जब होम मिनिस्ट्री में था उसी समय प्रधानमंत्री जी का आशीर्वाद से हम लोगों ने स्पेशल दिल्ली पुलिस में एक फोर्स बनाया है, एक स्पेशल सेल खोला है, जिससे नॉर्थ ईस्ट का कोई भी प्रॉब्लम है तो स्पेशल हेल्पलाइन में खबर करता है और एक्शन लेता है। अभी देश में अलग अलग स्टेट में भी नॉर्थ ईस्ट के बच्चों के साथ अगर कुछ भी घटना घटते हैं तो हम लोग फॉलोअप करते हैं। पहले जैसे नहीं है, अभी चेंज हो गया। पहले तो हमारा कोई माँ बाप नहीं था, नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लोगों को इतना इंसल्ट करते थे और टॉर्चर करते थे, कॉलेज में भी चुपचाप सहन करके बैठते थे। अभी तो ऐसा नहीं है, अभी तो हम लोग खुद है, मैं खुद एक सीनियर मंत्री के नाते मेरा ऑफिस लगातार कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो नॉर्थ ईस्ट का, मेरा ऑफिस उसमें एक्शन लेता है।
दे रहे हैं और हमें आंख बंद करके पूरी भरोसा है कि दिल्ली पुलिस और इंडियन जुडिशरी सिस्टम हमारे साथ खड़ा है और हमें निष्पक्ष जांच करवा के दूध का दूध और पानी का पानी निकालेगा।
तो आप अपने आप को शर्मिंदा मानते हैं?
बिल्कुल शर्मिंदा है सर। मैं एक बात बता रहा हूं कि मैं ऐसा एक इंसान ही नहीं हूं, बट ये ना हीट ऑफ द मोमेंट, अगर आप गाली देते हैं, अगर दोनों का लेवल उधर है, ठीक है, दोनों का लेवल अगर ऐसे, तो वही है कि गलती से निकल गई, गुस्से में निकल गई, बट हमारा इंटेंशन नहीं था ऐसा कि हम करें। बट फिर भी मैं शर्मिंदा हूं अपनी और अपनी वाइफ के ने जो बोला, हमें तो हमसे सुना भी नहीं जा रहा दोबारा। ये
जिस तरीके से सोशल मीडिया में वायरल हो रहे हैं,
हाँ,
क्या कहेंगे?
मैं सोशल मीडिया वालों को एक चीज बोल रहा हूँ, यूजर्स को बोल रहा हूँ कि एटलीस्ट दोनों साइड ऑफ द स्टोरी सुनिए, कि आप कि आप बस क्योंकि जो भी वीडियोस लगाई हैं वो हमारा रिएक्शन है, हमारा एक्शन है, हमारे सिर पे सींग नहीं लगे हैं कि हम लोगों को ऐसे, हमारा ये प्रोफेशन नहीं है कि हम मारेंगे। हमारी प्रॉपर्टी पे लगा, मेरे बंदे को ईंट लगते लगते बची, मैन टू मैन कॉन्वर्जेशन थी, लेडीज आई, लड़ाई होगी और बढ़ गई। तो बस ये कह दो कि पूरी स्टोरी आप देखिए, आप सुनिए, और उससे पहले मीडिया ट्रायल मत कीजिए मेरे ऊपर। मीडिया ट्रायल से ऊपर है इस देश का न्यायपालिका, तो उससे बड़ा कुछ नहीं है। और मुझे न्यायपालिका पे अपना पूरा भरोसा है, दिल्ली पुलिस पे पूरा भरोसा है कि वो सच को सामने लाएगी, आज नहीं तो 6 महीने बाद, 6 महीने बाद।
Yeah. Now, he tried to say that judiciary is with us, everybody is with us, law will take its course. They tried to pull off this stunt yesterday. Nobody is buying that stunt. They deserve to be in jail for everything that they said to the 3 students from Arunachal Pradesh. And we will continue to track that story. We will have exclusive reports on this story in just a few minutes. Taking a break. When we come back, our Justice for Riyansh campaign continues. After our report and the campaign, the police has been forced to wake up, at least wake up and start looking for the father and son duo. The uncle has been arrested. The shooter's uncle has been arrested. Search continues for the shooter himself and the father. Stay tuned.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल, ये रंग दे, ये खुशबू दे, ये तीखा, ये कम पड़े, क्या निराला MDH मसाला।
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मम्मा, क्या स्वाद है? अरे मेरे राजा, आज जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला सिप सिप जीरा सिप इंग्लिश का जल जीरा सिप इंग्लिश का जल जीरा सिप
Now here's the reality, it's fact not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m.
Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement.
Donald Trump in his State of Union address claims had he not intervened, 35 million people would have died in Indo-Pak war. Republic's a big impact. The Rajasthan government orders immediate shutdown of illegal mining operations in Aravalli. Shooter's uncle in Bulandshahr case has now been detained by police as Republic continues to report on the celebratory shooting case. No black box found on the plane that crashed in Jharkhand involving a Redbird Airways aircraft. All right, viewers, we've got a big breaking news. The Supreme Court has now issued a strong comment on the NCERT's lesson on corruption in judiciary. Chief Justice Surikant has now expressed strong displeasure over the teaching of a passage titled Corruption in Judiciary in the NCERT's Class 8 textbook. He states that any attempt to defame the judiciary will not be tolerated. Senior advocates Kapil Sibal and Abhishek Manu Singhvi had raised this issue in the court, stating that they were upset that Class 8 students were being taught this. Now, in response, the CJI said that this appeared to be a premeditated move. He took a suo motu cognizance and said he was aware of the issue and would now take appropriate action. That's a top court expressing strong displeasure over what is being taught to Class 8 students in NCERT books. It's a passage titled Corruption in Judiciary that in fact has rattled, it seems, the top court. The top court says there is an attempt here to defame the judiciary and it will not be tolerated. Remember, it is senior advocates Kapil Sibal and Abhishek Manu Singhvi who raised this issue in the court, stating that they were upset that Class 8 students were being taught this. And now the Justice CJI Surikant himself has taken a suo motu cognizance and said he was aware of the issue and would take appropriate action in the case. So that's the top court's a big reaction coming in on the NCERT's lesson on corruption in judiciary. My colleague Sarthak, who's been closely tracking the story, now joins me with more details. Sarthak, it seems the top court has now taken a suo motu cognizance of a chapter being taught in the NCERT's Class 8 textbook titled Corruption in Judiciary. Give us more details on what the top court has said on this.
Well, today, senior advocates Kapil Sibal, Abhishek Manu Singhvi,
Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Mukul Rohatgi and a few others brought this to the notice of the Supreme Court that NCERT textbook of class 8 is teaching a particular topic which goes by the title Corruption in Judiciary, which actually talks about how the corruption is involved in the judicial system of the country. There are multiple backlogs in terms of the number of cases that are still pending before the court. These are the things, and how it brings the entire judicial system of India in a bad light. This is something that has been shown as a concern by the advocates. The Supreme Court has also expressed its displeasure towards the kind of education that is being provided to class 8 students specific to corruption-related things in judiciary. And Supreme Court has decided that they would take cognizance of the case. They would suo motu file a petition. So far, it was just brought into the notice in an open court by the senior advocates in the Supreme Court. But this time, Supreme Court has decided that they would take cognizance of the case and may file a suo motu petition, decide the case, and get into try to find out more details about what kind of things are being taught in this portion of Class 8 NCERT textbook. So this is something that we know of. No formal petition or application has been filed before the Supreme Court. It's just a concern that has been expressed by the senior advocate before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court also aligns its displeasure towards the kind of things that have been taught in this particular chapter. And therefore, the Supreme Court will be taking cognizance of it and may file a suo motu petition regarding this.
All right, Sarthak, thank you for joining us and sharing those crucial details on the top court's remarks on this passage titled Corruption in Judiciary in the Class 8 NCERT's book. And now viewers, time to track the headlines across India in our special segment called Bharat in One. Indigo has announced new direct routes connecting Navi Mumbai International Airport with Ahmedabad, Diu, Goa, Rajkot, Kolhapur effective 29 March. In an official statement, the airline says it will operate its aircraft on these routes, further strengthening its operations from NMAI-8 and enhancing regional air connectivity in the region. In Manipur, security forces have intensified operations along the border. 4 cadres of the People's Liberation Army and People's Revolutionary Party of Kangle Park were arrested in separate operations. 2 more pre-Pak cadres were picked up from Imphal West and Thobol districts, strengthening the ongoing crackdown on unlawful outfits in the state. The ACB is conducting raids at the residence of Vijay Chaudhary, brother of Deputy Chief Minister Surinder Chaudhary. Vijay, an active J&K police inspector, is under investigation in a recently registered disproportionate assets case. All right, viewers, now shifting focus. The Rajasthan government has now acknowledged the illegal mining operations in Aravalli range, orders immediate shutdown. The Rajasthan government has now officially acknowledged that the land allocated for the mining to the private company Ojasvi Marbles and Granites Private Limited is in fact part of the Aravalli mountain range. Consequently, the government has now directed an immediate halt to all the mining activities in this area. Now, viewers, this marks the first time that the Rajasthan government has recognized that the land designated for mining is in fact within the Aravalli range and deemed the mining there as illegal. Remember, this comes after Republic's big campaign showing how illegal mining was operating in the Aravalli range in the state. Take a look at this report. All right, viewers, that's the big Republic's impact, how it continued the coverage, and now government ordering the shutdown. And now, viewers, some global news. The US President Donald Trump, amid his address at the Union of State, address, reiterated his claim of having ended 8 wars. He claimed he was in the process of even ending the 9th one, which is the Russia-Ukraine war. And that's not all. what he also said specifically that having stopped the India-Pakistan war, he claimed that Pakistan Prime Minister told him that had he not ended the war between the two countries, 35 million people would have died. So that's the big claim coming in from President Trump regarding his intervention in the India-Pakistan war and how he saved 35 million people of Pakistan, because he says Shehbaz Sharif, the Prime Minister of the Pakistan, told him had he not intervened between the two countries, this would have led to the death, a big disaster of about 35 million in Pakistan. Remember, not the first time that Donald Trump has made these claims. Time and again, he has been reiterating that it was his intervention that led to the ceasefire between the two countries.
In Thailand, Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement. Kosovo and Serbia, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the Congo and Rwanda, and of course the war in Gaza, which proceeds at a very low level. It's just about there. And I want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for your help. Thank you, Steve. Cambodia and Thailand, Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement. Kosovo and Serbia, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the Congo and Rwanda, and of course the war in Gaza, which proceeds at a very low level. It's just about there. And I want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for your help. Thank you, Steve.
And now, viewers, in a massive show of strength and precision, the Indian Air Force conducted the full dress rehearsal of its mega exercise Vayu Shakti 2026 near the Pakistan border in Rajasthan. Now held at the Pokhran field firing range, the exercise featured some of Indian Air Force's most advanced fighter jets and weapon systems in action. From Sukhoi 30 MKIs pounding enemy targets to MiG-29 striking simulated tank convoys and the Akash missile system intercepting aerial threats mid-air. The rehearsal here demonstrated the force's combat readiness and firepower. More in this report. Take a look.
Near the Pakistan border in Rajasthan, the Indian Air Force is conducting the full dress rehearsal of its mega war exercise Vayu Shakti 2026 at the Pokhran field firing range in Jaisalmer. The drill began with Sukhoi Su-30 MKI destroying enemy runways and positions. The Sukhoi targeted enemy bases, dropping 44 bombs. The rehearsals showcased aircrafts that are manufactured under Make in India initiative. These aircrafts demonstrated their firepower capabilities and accurate striking power. A MiG-29 fighter jet demolished a convoy of enemy tanks. In the simulated war zone, the Akash missile system intercepts and blows up an aerial target mid-air, demonstrating precision strike capability. For the first time, a C-130 aircraft carries out a night landing on the runway.
Aircraft touching down.
And returns after deploying Garud commandos in the simulated combat zone. The Indian Air Force remains ever vigilant, mission ready and prepared to safeguard the nation at all times.
आतंकियों का सफाया हो चुका है और हमारे जाबाज गरुड़ और 10 पैरा SF की टुकड़ी बंधकों को बचा चुकी है.
And now we are shifting focus to a news that's topping the international airlines. Prime Minister Modi's big Israel visit. Now, during this visit, Prime Minister will be addressing the Israeli Parliament. He will also become the first Indian Prime Minister to address the Parliament in Israel in his two-day visit. Now, he described his planned speech at the parliamentary as a tribute to the democratic and the parliamentary linkages between the two countries. In fact, that's the big update we're getting in at this point about Prime Minister Modi's big Israel visit. My colleague Shravan now joins me with more updates. Shravan, it's a big visit. It's a boost to ties between India and Israel, the special camaraderie that Prime Minister Modi also shares with the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. What can we expect from this visit?
Well, in fact, it is basically deepening yet another security pact between both the countries. So what are we really looking at? An informal dinner that takes place between both the leaders that will happen later in the day. That would be after about 7:30 is what we are being told. As far as this security pact is concerned, what is it that is expected in it? In fact, we are given to understand in terms of the technology transfer, particularly in security related issues, is what is being discussed. The other big takeaway is, of course, the free trade agreement that is being worked in. You have the Commerce Minister already having a meeting with his Israeli counterpart there. And in fact, the Prime Minister has already indicated that the work is in progress with regards to the free trade agreement. So after United States of America, if you're really looking at yet another trade deal that is being worked in, that is with Israel. It also comes during a very interesting time because the Middle East tensions that we're basically looking at and the build-up, the military build-up along the coastline of Iran, particularly with the deployment of US warships, there is a lot of speculations as to what action would the United States of America really take in right now. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has spoken to his counterpart in Israel. So this comes at a time when the Prime Minister would be in Israel and there is a massive military build-up. In fact, earlier today at the F-22s did actually land in an airbase in Tel Aviv. Till about late last evening, there wasn't much announcements being made by the Ministry of External Affairs here in India with regards to the Prime Minister's visit, purely keeping in mind the current situation there. But what is expected is the fact that there is going to be an address that is going to be made by the Prime Minister in the Israeli parliament. This happens to be the first time that you're looking at an Indian leader making that announcement.
अपनी तरफ से दर्ज करवाना चाह रहा था कंप्लेनेंट बनके। उन्होंने चंडीगढ़ में भी अप्रोच किया और उन्होंने मुंबई में भी अप्रोच किया, लेकिन पैसा हरियाणा सरकार का है जो मरा हुआ है। तो हमने दोनों जगह पे पहले ही बात कर ली थी कि मुकदमा हम यहाँ पर दर्ज कर रहे हैं और क्योंकि अगर कोई फ्रॉड हुआ है तो लाइकली यहीं से हुआ होगा जहां पे हमारे हरियाणा सरकार के दफ्तर थे, जिनको उन्होंने कहा है। ये उनकी असेसमेंट है। निश्चित तौर पे वो 4 नहीं जितने भी होंगे वो सभी को गिरफ्तार किया जाए।
सर, वो स्वास्थ्य जो कंपनी आप बता रहे हैं उसके अकाउंट में डाला गया तो क्या उनके अकाउंट फ्रीज किए गए हैं?
देखिए, मैं आपको फिर कह रहा हूं, जो भी चीजें हमें शुरुआती दौर में, क्योंकि कल रात ही अभी गुजरी है, सामने आई हैं, उसे क्रॉस वेरीफाई किए बगैर हम आपको नहीं बता पाएंगे। शुरुआती दौर में इतना जरूर कह दूं कि फ्रीजिंग वाली कार्रवाई अकाउंट्स की, और शुरू में हमें यह डर भी था कि शायद जो मेन एक्यूज्ड है रिभव ऋषि, इसके बाहर जाने की भी 1-2 वीडियोस थी, तो हमने एलओसी वगैरह भी जारी करवा दी थी सभी एयरपोर्ट्स पे। लेकिन डिटेल्स जब तक चेक होंगी जी, उसके उपरांत आपको सारी चीजें शेयर की जा सकेंगी। अगर कोई स्पेसिफिक चीज है तो ये
एक सरकारी विभागों से 300 करोड़ गया है, वो हरियाणा गवर्नमेंट का गया होगा ना अकाउंट से जी,
टोटल है जी। ये इसके अंदर कुछ देखिए, शुरुआती चीजों में ये आई है जांच में कि ज्यादातर हरियाणा सरकार का है, कुछ चंडीगढ़ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के भी अकाउंट्स हैं, कुछ, हालांकि उनकी मात्रा कम है लेकिन वो भी निकले।
सर, सरकारी विभागों से भी कोई रिकॉर्ड वगैरह लिया गया या पूछा गया कि आपने कैसे परमिशन ली बैंक खातों या प्राइवेट बैंकों में खाते खुलवाने के?
मैंने आपको कहा जी, अभी मेरे को सिर्फ 1 दिन हुआ है, ये जांच लंबी चलेगी, इसके अंदर वॉल्यूम बहुत ज्यादा है और बहुत ज्यादा डिपार्टमेंट इन्वॉल्व है। हमें सबसे एक-एक करके पूछना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि जो भी हम करते हैं या किसी के खिलाफ एक्शन लेते हैं वो जुडिशियरी के अंदर चैलेंज हो सकता है। तो इसलिए
कैसे डिपार्टमेंट
विजिलेंस के कार्यालय से हमारे को पत्र प्राप्त हुआ था, जिसके अंदर उन्होंने पंचायत डिपार्टमेंट की एक करी हुई इंक्वायरी, जिसके अंदर सरकारी फंड्स का गबन दिख रहा था, वो जांच हमारे को एफआईआर दर्ज करने के लिए आदेश प्राप्त हुआ हरियाणा सरकार से, और उसके ऊपर मुकदमा नंबर 4 यहाँ पंचकूला में जो हमारा पुलिस स्टेशन है उसके अंदर किया गया। उस मुकदमे को दर्ज करने के उपरांत एक SIT का गठन किया गया, जिसके ओवरऑल सुपरविजन श्री गंगाराम पुनिया IPS, जिनके पास SP पंचकूला का चार्ज है, इनके अधीन दी गई और इन्होंने बहुत अच्छा कार्य करते हुए तकरीबन 24 घंटे के अंदर या थोड़ा सा ज्यादा, एक आधे दिन के अंदर ही, जो इसके अंदर मेन 2 मुलजिम थे, जिनका नाम रिभव ऋषि है और अभय है। बैंक से जब हमने पता किया तो ये रिभव ऋषि पंचकूला का रहने वाला है और सेक्टर 32 की जो ब्रांच है उसके अंदर तकरीबन 6 महीने पहले इसने वहां से नौकरी छोड़ी थी और ये उस ब्रांच का हेड था। इसी प्रकार से जो अभय है, ये तकरीबन अगस्त के अंदर, अगस्त या सितंबर में इसने भी वहां से जॉब छोड़ी। ये वहां पे शायद रिलेशनशिप मैनेजर था, दोनों अच्छे पद पर आसीन थे। तो IDFC की सीनियर मैनेजमेंट ने इमीडिएटली ऊपर के लेवल पे अपनी कंप्लायंस दिखाते हुए सरकार का जो धन है, जो सरकारी फंड्स में गबन की बात आई थी, पेंडिंग द इन्वेस्टिगेशन, उन्होंने वो पैसा गवर्नमेंट को रिटर्न कर दिया है, जो कि जिससे एक ये जरूर साबित हो जाता है कि जो हमारे हरियाणा प्रदेश के लोगों का मेहनत से कमाया हुआ पैसा है, जो चाहे विभागों के अंदर पड़ा हुआ था, वो सुरक्षित है और कहीं नहीं गया। अब इसके अंदर जो 2 ये मेन मुलजिम थे, इन्होंने ये सारा मास्टर प्लान बनाया था। भरसक प्रयत्न और बहुत अच्छी टेक्निकल एविडेंस कलेक्शन करके हमारे SP साहब ने फाइनली कल शाम को इन दोनों को राउंड अप किया। उसके बाद जो एक मेन कंपनी थी प्राइवेट, जिसके अंदर फंड्स ज्यादा जा रहे थे, तकरीबन बैंक के रिकॉर्ड के हिसाब से तकरीबन 300 करोड़ हैं। ये 300 करोड़ स्वास्तिक देश प्रोजेक्ट के खाते में गए थे और वहां से आगे डिप्लॉय हुए हैं रिसोर्सेज। सरप्राइजिंग चीज ये थी कि जो IDFC बैंक की ब्रांच है वो चंडीगढ़ के अंदर है, विभाग ज्यादातर हरियाणा के अंदर है, और AU स्मॉल फाइनेंस बैंक जिसके अंदर पैसा गया, उनकी ब्रांच मोहाली में है। तो ट्राई सिटी होने की वजह से कई बार सीनियर लेवल पे जब हमने उनसे पूछा तो ये ऑब्जर्व कई बार रह रही है बात कि भाई जब ब्रांच पंचकूला के अंदर है तो अकाउंट चंडीगढ़ में खुला, तो क्या सीनियर मैनेजमेंट इस चीज को नहीं देखती कि सरकारी अकाउंट आउट ऑफ टेरिटरी क्यों खोल रहे हैं? तो ये चीज उन्होंने बताई कि ये सिर्फ ट्राई सिटी के साथ ये परेशानी आ जाती है, क्योंकि तीनों बिल्कुल क्लोजली एक दूसरे के पास बैठे हैं और इसके अंदर 2 स्टेट्स इन्वॉल्व है और 1 यूनियन टेरिटरी। तो इस तरीके से ये 4 लोगों को पकड़ा गया। जो ये देश स्वास्तिक देश प्रोजेक्ट्स है, इसकी जो मेन ओनर 75% शेयर वो स्वाति सिंगला के पास है और उसके भाई अभिषेक सिंगला के पास 25% शेयर है। स्वाति सिंगला अभय की वाइफ है। तो इन 4 को हमने पकड़ लिया है, जांच इनकी जारी है और निश्चित तौर पे जो भी व्यक्ति, चाहे वो प्राइवेट हो चाहे सरकारी हो, जिसका भी इसके अंदर इन्वॉल्वमेंट रहा है, सरकार इसके प्रति स्पष्ट है कि उनके खिलाफ ठोस कार्रवाई की जाएगी। स्वाति और उसका भाई अभिषेक सिंगला।
सर ये जो कंपनी है सर, ये इसका मनी ट्रेल कुछ पता लगा, ये किस चीज की कंपनी है सर? पैसा कैसे इन्होंने विड्रॉ किया?
ऐसे जी वो शक थोड़ा सा इसलिए पड़ गया था कि क्योंकि AU स्मॉल फाइनेंस की ब्रांच पंचकूला में भी है, चंडीगढ़ में भी है, लेकिन अकाउंट फिर मोहाली में खोला जा रहा है। तो इसलिए वो जो ट्रेल्स हैं सारी, दे आर अ कम्परसम प्रोसेस एंड विल टेक सम टाइम। वी आर हायरिंग ऑन बोर्ड चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट ऑल्सो, क्योंकि इस तफ्तीश के अंदर थोड़ा सा समय जरूर लगेगा और हम आज इन 4 को पेश करके इनका रिमांड जरूर मांगे।
2 चीजें हैं, 1 what was the modus operandi?
प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी, एवरीडे।
रानी, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड। छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने,
सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, and as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same SpiceJet. This is the same SpiceJet that does not have the money to pay the Bangladesh government, which is why it had been, I don't know the present situation, not allowed to fly in Bangladeshi airspace. They're out of money. Who is the owner of SpiceJet? This is the same SpiceJet, ladies and gentlemen, when another SpiceJet took off from Patna to Delhi on 19 June 2022. It caught fire soon after taking off from the airport. Flames were seen on the left wing of the aircraft. 2 blades were bent. So you should see the visual.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ 8 मिनट में तैयार क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डकोर मसाला
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH।
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
India closer to sealing FTA with Israel as Prime Minister Modi meets Netanyahu FTA conclusion likely tomorrow.
Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement.
Donald Trump in his State of Union address claims had he not intervened, 35 million people would have died in India-Pakistan war. Republic's a big impact. Rajasthan government orders immediate shutdown of illegal mining operations in Aravalli. Shooter's uncle arrested in a Bulandshahr case, now detained by police after Republic's rigorous coverage. No black box found on the plane that crashed in Jharkhand involving Redbird Airways aircraft. All right, viewers, beginning with the big breaking news coming in from Israel. This as Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in what is his second visit to the country. In fact, we are given to understand that the FTA conclusion is now likely tomorrow. That's the two-day visit Prime Minister Modi has embarked on to Israel. We're expecting the high-profile visit of the Indian Prime Minister. It comes on the heels of several other high-level ministerial exchanges from both the sides. This as the two-day visit brings India one step closer to an FTA with Israel. Now, viewers, as Prime Minister Modi meets Netanyahu, we're looking at the conclusion of the FTA tomorrow. First round of negotiations have already been done. An FTA conclusion is likely tomorrow. All right, I'm now being joined by Ratna Chakraborty from Tel Aviv. In fact, Ratna, do tell us what's the atmosphere on ground. Prime Minister Modi's big visit to Israel. In fact, we're looking at FTA conclusion tomorrow, and he's also going to address the Israeli Prime Minister, Israeli Parliament. In fact, what's the atmosphere on the ground?
Well, this is the second time the Prime Minister is coming, and this is a gap after nearly 8 years. We are seeing the Prime Minister coming. The last visit was in 2017, in fact, and he is the first Indian Prime Minister to address the Israeli Knesset. We have seen from yesterday, the Israeli Knesset has already started preparing the Indian tricolor. It has been decorated with the Indian tricolors, and as we can see on the ground, there's a lot of excitement, and
Sir, I don't have
a lot of there has to be a lot of the deals that has to be signed, especially regarding defense, technology. He's supposed to speak in about a few hours in the Israeli Knesset, and after that, he's jointly addressing and rather visiting an Israeli innovation setup. And this all is happening at a very significant moment, a volatile period in West Asia, where we have seen the US-Iran tensions have sharply escalated. We have seen F-22s been deployed, American F-22s being deployed in Israel. And this is a period when Prime Minister Netanyahu has said multiple times that he believes India to be one of those broader regional, as a part of the broader regional framework, which he has called the Hexagon of Nations. And this visit is equally important for both India and Israel.
Right, of course, it's a big visit for both the countries, big boost to the strategic ties between India and Israel. It's also focused on the economic aspect of it. We're looking at the conclusion of FTA between the two countries tomorrow. Give us more details on that.
The FTA has, the framework of the FTA was actually signed when our Commerce Minister, Mr. Piyush Goyal, visited a couple of months back to Israel. And things have been going really fast. And if what we get to know that there might be something on the FTA, whether it's a deal or whether it's another sort of the negotiation that they have concluded, we will get to know tomorrow. But there have been a lot of rumors that the FTA might be signed.
Right, of course, and also the fact that Prime Minister Modi is going to address the Israeli Parliament. He'll become the first Indian leader to do so. What have been the preparations, in fact, made in that regard? We understand that the Parliament has been lit in Indian colours.
Exactly. It has been lit in Indian colors, and this is the first time an Indian Prime Minister will be speaking. We have the Prime Minister addressing, we have the Prime Minister of Israel addressing, the leader of opposition, and the Israeli Knesset speaker addressing there. It will start from 4 o'clock around in Israel time, And there have been a lot of preparations. We have seen a lot of logistical support that have been there. There have been a lot of security being there. So we are expecting that when the Prime Minister lands, he goes to the King David Hotel, and from there he directly goes to address the Parliament.
Right, and you know, the relationship between the two countries, it's multifaceted, goes beyond economic, and the defense ties also includes the people-to-people ties. You're on the ground in Tel Aviv. How are people of Israel looking at this visit of Indian Prime Minister?
Well, a lot of people that I have met in the last couple of days have been speaking a lot about it. There have been a lot of buzz in the news media about it because the last time the Prime Minister visited was in 2017. So we didn't have a prime ministerial visit for a very long time, and people are excited. People here in Israel loves Indians, and to see the Indian Prime Minister coming, the person who represents India, it's a matter of a lot of excitement for a lot of Israelis here.
Right, and also, you know, there's an aspect of the ties when it comes to defense. You know, we're looking at several agreements being inked on the defense sector. You know, Israel's advanced technology being mixed with India's scale. Give us more details on that. What could we expect from this visit as far as defense is concerned?
We have a great security and a strategic partnership with Israel. What we get to know is that there will be an updated security pact that will be signed with Israel. The details of it, I'm currently not sure, but it is something which will enhance our defense cooperation regarding the drones, the ballistic missiles, and a lot of defense tech that would be integrated into this component. The exact details we will only get to know when the press release comes tomorrow and the MOUs are signed between the Prime Minister of Israel and Prime Minister of India. But it will enhance the next generation of defense cooperation between the two countries.
All right, Sir Public reporting us straight from Tel Aviv on Indian Prime Minister's visit to Israel. Thank you, Ratna, for joining us and giving us all the updates on this visit from the ground. And now, viewers, let's talk about what's the agenda for this visit. Prime Minister Modi is going to be meeting the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. There's special camaraderie between the two leaders. There's going to be high-level bilateral talks between the two leaders as part of this visit. The talks are going to focus on the strategic relationship and the joint cooperation in the areas of security, defense and economic ties. We're also looking at Prime Minister Modi addressing the Israeli Parliament. There's a review that's going to take place between, as far as defense and security ties are concerned between the two countries. Talks are also going to take place on AI, quantum tech, and discussions to boost trade cooperation between the two countries are also on the agenda. Prime Minister Modi is also going to be meeting the Israeli President Isaac Herzog. That's a part of the visit as well. And plus, he's going to visit the memorial to pay tribute to the victims of Holocaust. So a visit that's going to, in fact, encompass both economic as well as defense ties as far as India and Israel are concerned. And now, viewers, it's time to focus and track the headlines within India. Time for a special segment called Bharat in One. Indigo announces new direct routes connecting Navi Mumbai International Airport with Ahmedabad, Diu, Goa, Rajkot, Kolhapur effective from March 29th. In an official statement, the airline says it will operate its ATR aircraft on these routes, further strengthening its operations from NMIA and enhancing regional air connectivity in the region. In Manipur, security forces have now intensified operations along the border. 4 cadres of People's Liberation Army and People's Revolutionary Party of Kangle Park were arrested in separate operations. 2 more Tri-Park cadres were also picked up from Imphal West and Thoubol districts, further strengthening the ongoing crackdown on unlawful outfits in the state. Now, the ACB is conducting raids at the residence of Vijay Chaudhary, a brother of Deputy Chief Minister Surendra Chaudhary. Vijay, an active Jammu and Kashmir police inspector, is under investigation in a recently registered disproportionate assets case. And now, viewers, we bring to you an update on the Jharkhand crash. No cockpit voice recorder or flight data recorder has been found on the redbird plane. No black box was in fact found on that plane that crashed in Jharkhand. The air ambulance, viewers. First certificate for airworthiness was issued in 1987 for the plane. Report says that plane lost communication just 23 minutes after the takeoff, and now the AAIB report claims that there was no mandatory requirement for the voice recorder. So that's the latest update we're getting from the Jharkhand crash. No flight recorder, no data recorder found in the plane crash. In fact, AAIB report claims that there was not even a required mandate for the black box or the data recorder to be there in the plane. All right, now my colleague Harsha has been closely tracking the story, joins me with more details. Harsha, no data recorder, no black box found in that crash, in the Jharkhand crash of air ambulance, and AAIB report also claims that there was no required mandate for the same.
So yes, we have got to know that the CVR and FDR was not found. The black box was not found at the accident spot. And when the entire investigation about this particular charter plane was done, AIB found that this aircraft was, 1987. The certification of airworthiness was given to this aircraft. And also they found out that during that time in 1987, there was no accessibility, of the CVR and FDR. That's the reason why the aircraft didn't have CVR and FDR, and also the weight of aircraft was much lesser than 5700 kg. 5700 kg or above should be the weight of the aircraft to regularize this, to regulate it, to have the CVR and FDR. In this case, the weight was approximately 4700 kg. That was one of the reason why CVR and FDR was not there. But now this will increase the challenge for the investigative agency AAIB to find the exact reason for the crash, because now there's no black box, no FDR, no CVR. So what happened inside the aircraft will not be known. The investigation has to be around the weather radar deviation, the radar which allowed them to deviate from one side to another, from left to right position, and also on the accounts of the eyewitnesses, how they saw when they saw the plane crash, and also where did exactly the nose, body, tail and the engine of this particular charter fell off, and how far did it fell. Now the entire investigation will be around these aspects, and it will only tell that what were the reasons behind the crash, but exactly what was the communication between the pilots amongst themselves, what happened inside the cockpit during last minute will not be known, because the black box was not present in the aircraft. For all our viewers to know that the Redbird Airways Private Limited, this particular aircraft was 25 years old. 25 years old and had no black box because its making was 1987, and the CVR and FDR guidelines came in 2016 and 1990, much after when this aircraft came in inception and got its airworthiness license. And that's the reason why there was black box missing in this particular aircraft. This is also the fault of the regulatory body that they didn't see this in the past, and whether any audit in the past was done of this company or not, or were regulators aware that the black box was missing from this particular charter. Back to you.
Right, Harsha. Now, usually it's the black box or the FDR which give us answers as to what unfolded in those last minutes inside the cockpit. Since those elements are not present inside the crash, how reliable are the other factors for the investigation ahead?
They are not much reliable, because the communication between ATC and pilot in command would be established. The communication, one set of the communication would have been recorded in the cockpit in the CVR, and another set of the communication between ATC would have been recorded in the ATC command room. Only that communication would be established between ATC and pilot in command, and also it will have to be seen that during the last minute at 7:34, exactly what was the communication, which side weather was much adverse hours because they were around 100 nautical miles Varanasi south, east side they were, and exactly which side did the deviation happened of the aircraft. This they will get to know through the last minute communication between ATC and pilot in command. That through the communication from the command room of ATC they will get to know. So we can't say that the investigation will be much reliable and much will come out in the final report about what happened. It was majorly, it is also already being said that it was majorly because of the bad weather condition, and also at that particular time the pilot couldn't take the decision which side to deviate for the better weather, where the weather is not much adverse. And also the flying hours of Mr. Bhagat was 1400 hours, Mr. Singh was approximately 450 hours. They had the flying experience of this much. Whether they was that much capable of taking that decision for the weather condition, these all will be the only aspects of investigation. But one should not rely much, because now the black box is missing. The black box is not there in the aircraft. The black box was never in the aircraft. So the last minute what happened inside the cockpit will never be known in the investigation report.
All right, so many questions are yet to be answered in the Jharkhand crash, and the question now, how will they be answered, in fact, as the investigation proceeds? Harsha, continue to stay with me. I'll come back to you with more updates on another story we're getting at this point. Viewers, and now we bring you updates in the AI 171 waiver row in Parliament. Now, Rajya Sabha question asks if Air India sought indemnity bonds from AI 171 crash families, waiving their rights to sue Air India, Boeing, G and others globally. MPs question if such waivers were in fact sought before AIB's final. Serious legal concerns. The government was asked whether victims' rights were in fact in question as to how the compensation was paid. The question is, were the victims' rights compromised, and what safeguards exist to prevent this? Governments need to submit an answer to this by 9th March. That's the big question that has been asked to the Government of India regarding the AI 171 crash, and were the rights of the victims' families compromised? Harsha continues to stay with me on this. Harsha, a question has been asked to the Government of India regarding the rights of the victims of the AI 171 crash, whether or not their rights were compromised, whether or not they were asked to waive off their right to sue Air India and Boeing. Help us with more details as to what the question is, and the response of the government has to be submitted by March 9th is what we understand.
Yes, 9th March is the second part of the budget session, which will begin from 9th of March and go on to 2nd of April. And on the very first day of this session, the Civil Aviation Minister will have to respond to the questions raised in the Rajya Sabha. To all our viewers to understand that few weeks back, Republic broke this story that how victims were being approached by the lawyers and by Air India, which was trying to make the victims sign the indemnity bonds. Each and every family of the victim was being given different certain amount, differentiating on the acceptability by them. They were asking them to waiver their rights to sue Air India, Boeing and GE. Once the victim families would have signed this indemnity bond, they would not have the right to sue Air India, GE and Boeing after the final report of AIB would be out. And that's the reason this question is being asked by the MPs in Rajya Sabha, which the Minister of Civil Aviation, Nadu, will have to respond that whether Minister and whether the Ministry was aware that Air India was sending indemnity bonds through their legal department to the families of the victim to sue, to give away their waiving rights. And was the Minister aware? He will have to ensure that whether the rights of the families of the victim is ensured or not, whether they are safeguarded or not. All these response Minister will have to give in the Parliament in front of the members of the Parliament who have raised the questions of the AI 171 families of the victims who are right now being ensured the safety or not. Are they being protected from Air India, Boeing and GE or not? Because these companies, which are the major stakeholders and are in question in the AIB investigation of the AI 171 crash, they are continuously approaching the families of the victims, and this should not happen in the process. That's what Minister has to respond in the Rajya Sabha on the first day of the session, which is 9th of March. Back to you.
Right, Harsha. Also, there is a question regarding ethics involved in this, because it's almost equal to global companies. They're trying to buy the silence of the victims' families in this regard.
Yeah, you rightly pointed out, because they very well know that now in question is Boeing, which has provided the Dreamliner to the Air India, the GE, which has, put, the engines of GE are in the Boeing Dreamliner. Air India, which is very much in question because of not taking better decision to not allow this particular Boeing fly on that London Ahmedabad flight should not have been allowed to fly. All these three stakeholders are in question, and the ethics is being asked, ethics is being questioned of these companies, because they very well know that they're continuously trying to frame and portray the image of the pilot through different sources and means. They're again and again stating that everything was well in the aircraft. Might it be it was a pilot error, might be it would be a pilot error. So we can say a theory is being framed against the pilot by these companies to secure and safeguard their interest. They are not interested in safeguarding the interests of the families of the victims who have already suffered. They have lost their loved ones. Only one man was left alive in that crash, all dead. And the families are waiting for the final AIB report. They are finally waiting that the justice will be served to them through that report. But what we are looking here is that the stakeholders individually are trying to approach the families of the victims. They are trying to buy their silence by offering them money. Let's say what? The compensation which was provided to them, they are providing 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, 20 lakhs above that compensation. They are making them sign the indemnity bonds. They are continuously pressurizing them through the legal department, approaching the families to make sign the indemnity bonds so that they can never sue Boeing, Air India and GE. And this when? Before AIB final reports, so that when the final report is out, the families have no say in the final report. They cannot sue these stakeholders. There's a kind of the level, this kind of the dirtiness these stakeholders have stooped so low by approaching and trying to buy the ethics and morality of the families of the victims. Back to you.
Right, of course, Harsha, there has been no closure for the families. The victims are here and, they're still looking for answers. The final report is not out as to what unfolded in the crash, what triggered the crash. But here the companies are out trying to buy their silence. I want to ask you, where are we with the investigation as far as AI 171 is concerned?
So right now what we were told that the, both the DFDR and CVR were completely, credentials were, completely taken out. The AIB investigators were investigating on all the prospects of Boeing Dreamliner. In fact, the state manufacturers and also not only the lab of AIB, but the foreign labs were also consulted as far as the credentials of the DFDR and CVR was concerned. We are expecting that in another 2 to 3 months, the final report of AIB will be out. Till now, the prelim report of the AIB in this AI 171 crash was out, which clearly has not questioned or has morally, ethically or in any ways questioned Boeing, Air India. They have not stated that there was issue in the Boeing or the Air India aircraft, or anyways the GE was in question. They never ever mentioned in the prelim report, and that's the reason why overall perception was being made about the pilot error. But the final report is yet to be out. The ministry has clearly stated that all aspects are being looked into. The one person who was alive, he was also questioned, and by AIB. The AIB investigators also spoke to that one alive person in Gujarat. They spoke to them, and the DFDR, CVR, the body, each and every debris distribution which was taken from the accident spot was investigated thoroughly. The black box was investigated thoroughly, and everyone is waiting for the final report. We can expect in another 2 to 3 months the final report to be out, and everyone has been waiting for that report only to exactly know what would the reason.
So investigation is still on, and we're looking at the report to come out in fact 2 to 3 months. So thank you, Harsha, for joining us and sharing all those crucial details on this case. And now viewers, shifting focus, a speeding SUV rammed into a car in Goa, killing a 65-year-old who was on a holiday with his family. Now, as per eyewitnesses, the occupants even tried to switch the seats right after the accident. And while police is still investigating the accident based on available CCTV footages and eyewitness accounts, here's a report on what exactly unfolded. Take a look.
A high-speed rented Thar killed a 65-year-old in Goa. Bhagat Ram Sharma was killed after the speeding SUV rammed his hatchback at the Happy Bar junction in Asagaon. It is being reported that a young woman was driving the car. The incident sparked immediate tension as onlookers claimed the SUV's occupants tried to switch seats after the crash. The police have started investigation on the basis of CCTV footage and eyewitnesses. The family of the deceased was on a safari in Goa in their private car. The impact was so severe that the front portion of the car was shattered. The accident spread panic in the area and local residents rushed to help. While investigation is on, a 5-month-old baby fortunately survived this horrific accident.
All right, viewers, so that's all we could pack in this edition of Live and Breaking. But don't go anywhere. On the other side, we discuss how India is now closer to sealing an FTA with Israel. In fact, FTA conclusion likely tomorrow as the Prime Minister Modi's biggest railways visit underway.
MDH की देगी मीरज,
देगी मिर्च का तड़का, अंग अंग फड़का।
MDH की देगी मीरज।
नहीं, इस घर में कुछ है जो टूटता नहीं।
ये पिलर कभी नहीं टूटेगा। रुंगटा स्टील TMT से बना।
रुंगटा नहीं तो घर स्ट्रॉन्ग नहीं। रुंगटा स्टील TMT बार एकदम सॉलिड।
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा।
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, and as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same SpiceJet. This is the same SpiceJet that does not have the money to pay the Bangladesh government, which is why it had been, I don't know the present situation, not allowed to fly in Bangladeshi airspace. They're out of money. Who is the owner of SpiceJet? This is the same SpiceJet, ladies and gentlemen, when another SpiceJet took off from Patna to Delhi on 19 June 2022. It caught fire soon after taking off from the airport. Flames were seen on the left wing of the aircraft. 2 blades were bent. So you should see the visuals then and now, ladies and gentlemen. Then and now. Look at that and now. Ladies and gentlemen, a SpiceJet plane catches fire in mid-air in December. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is 19 June 2022 and then now. And you are flying at your peril.
India closer to sealing FTA with Israel as the Prime Minister Modi embarks on Israel visit. FTA conclusion likely tomorrow.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर, माँ की मुस्कुराहट और खाने की सुगंध। MDH गरम मसाला,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे। केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार। विमल, बोलो जुबान केसरी।
प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरी डे।
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency.
India closer to sealing FTA with Israel as PM Modi meets Netanyahu. FTA conclusion likely tomorrow.
Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement.
Donald Trump in his State of Union address claims had he not intervened, 35 million would have died in Indo-Pakistan war. Republic's big impact. Rajasthan government orders immediate shutdown of illegal mining operations. Shooter's uncle in Bulandshahr has been detained by the police. No black box found on plane that crashed in Jharkhand involving Red Bird Airways aircraft. All right, viewers, now let's begin with the first top story. Now, 8-year-old Riyansh is fighting for his life after being shot in the head during wedding procession in Bulandshahr, Uttar Pradesh. Now, the accused Krishna Verma allegedly is on the run with his father, who reportedly encouraged him to fire the gun. Now, Riyansh's family claims Krishna isn't a minor, contradicting police reports. Now, the boy's condition remains critical on ventilator support at Fortis Hospital in Noida. Now, the incident has sparked outrage with questions raised about police's response, and the police have seized the licensed pistol and collected CCTV footage but face criticism for slow action. Now, these are the visuals of that incident. See, the boy is firing, and that was the cause, that was the reason why the 8-year-old got hit by the bullet and is battling for his life right now at Fortis Hospital. Now, these are their updates to the story also. Now, these are the visuals of the celebratory fire. All right, we have Harsh for more information on the story. Harsh, what are the latest updates in this story? In the celebratory fire that caused to such a chaos in the family, and the boy is in a very critical situation, very critical condition right now. Over to you, Harsh.
Well, right, this is in fact a Republic impact story. The police authorities have finally decided to take some action after accused uncle has been detained for questioning last night. Police officials have also claimed that 5 special teams have been formed to launch a manhunt to get the father-son duo nabbed. Now, let me remind you that this is the 5th day from the tragedy as 8-year-old Riyansh continues to fight for his life at Fortis Hospital, Noida. He continues to remain in coma. The only breakthrough police have managed to got at this point is that they have detained the elder brother of the accused father. He has been nabbed for questioning. He has been summoned, and he is now being questioned about the father-son duo's whereabouts. The entire family, let me tell you, is absconding since the day of the tragedy. Riyansh continues to fight for his life. He remains in critical condition. He is on life support system, at least at this point. Now, Republic is the only channel that is intensively investigating on the matter, and this is in fact a Republic impact that they have now finally decided to constitute 5 special teams to launch a manhunt to get the father-son duo nabbed, and in fact accused uncle, who is now in police custody, is being questioned about the whereabouts of the accused and his father. In fact, the big breakthrough we had yesterday was that the victim family has continued to maintain that the accused, who is being claimed to be a minor, might not really be a minor, and they have claimed that he might not be a minor, and the family in fact wants the authorities to investigate the matter from that angle. And they have also presented a screenshot of a Facebook profile which belongs to the accused, and the screenshot clearly shows that the date of birth which is mentioned in that particular Facebook profile is of August 2007, which makes it a little more evident that the accused might not really be a minor, as Rehansh continues to fight for his life at Noida Hospital. Back to studio.
Right now, Harsh, also can you give in detail the present condition of Rehansh? Now, he definitely is in critical condition, but what are the doctors saying? Any word with the doctors? Any update on that? Will he be able to recover? He definitely is in a very critical situation as of now. What about the health update of Rehansh?
Well, right, 8-year-old Rehansh was hit on his head right here, and the bullet, in fact, exited from this very spot. He continues to remain in coma. There is no signs of clinical improvement at this point. He continues to remain on life support system. He's on ventilator at Fortis Hospital in Noida. There is no clear signs of improvement, and doctors have said that the next 48 hours will remain critical for him, as the 8-year-old child continues to battle for his life after getting struck by a bullet that was fired in celebration by an accused who is claimed to be a minor here in Bulandshahr.
Definitely. How far has the police investigation reached after Republic's investigation? Because we have been continuously covering the story, continuously showing this in our debates. Now, how far has police reached in investigation further to the arrests that are being made? Any clues on those who are running away from the police? Any clues on the locations of that? Is police able to track that too?
Well, right, Shivam, Republic, in fact, is the only channel that is intensively reporting on this matter. And this is exactly why the police have now finally decided to react upon the situation, because until yesterday, no special teams were formed. And now they have suddenly decided to constitute 5 different teams to launch a manhunt to get the father-son duo nabbed. In fact, now they have detained the elder brother of the accused father for questioning. They are now trying to get details about the whereabouts of the family, which is absconding since the day of the tragedy. Now, this comes as a big failure for Uttar Pradesh police, because this is the day 5 from the tragedy, and they have in fact not even managed to trace down the licensed weapon that was involved in this very celebratory shot that struck Rehansh on February 19. Today is February 24. This is day 5, and they have in fact even failed to seize down the licensed weapon. And now this becomes even far more shocking, because both the accused, the father-son duo, along with the weapon that was used, is still not with the police, making the situation far more severe. This is a big failure that comes from Uttar Pradesh police as far as Republic continues to investigate the matter with far more details. And in fact, Republic is the only channel that is interested to cover this story. We are intensively reporting from the ground here in Uttar Pradesh, Bulandshahr, but this comes as a big failure, as Uttar Pradesh police fails to in fact get the weapon that was used in this very celebratory shot that struck Rehansh, and as he continues to battle for his life in Noida.
All right. Thanks a lot for all the details in this story. So Harsh is covering the story, and he gave all the details in the story, all the developments in the story. All right, viewers, now let's move on and get you all the top national stories now in Bharat in 1 minute. Panic gripped the area outside Manipur University after a suspected IED was found near the Manipur University gate. According to sources, a suspicious object along with a handwritten note was spotted near the main gate of Manipur University. As per sources, the object was fabricated using 2 empty juice cans, tightly wrapped with red tape and fitted with wires to resemble an actual explosive device, clearly designed to create fear and alarm. The crackdown on illegal Bangladeshi nationals continues in Mumbai, with Warsaw police taking major action against Bangladeshi nationals. The police have arrested 25 Bangladeshi nationals in Andheri West. All these Bangladeshi nationals had entered India illegally. A violent clash broke out inside a Shia mosque in Moradabad during Ramadan. A video of the fight showing people using belts and slippers against each other while children screamed in fear has gone viral on social media. Both groups have now filed cases against each other. All right, viewers, there's a big breaking news coming in right now at this moment. Protest at PSIT College over students' death. Now, police has resorted to lathi charge at PSIT College after students staged a violent protest. Now, this is a big developing story. We'll get you all the details of this. Now, this comes from Kanpur, where in Kanpur, the police has resorted to lathi charge at PSIT College after the students there were staging a violent protest. Exclusive visuals on your television screen, as you can see. Now, these were the students who were staging a protest. Of the lathi charge by police. Now, this is PSIT College in Kanpur. Now, this lathi charge was done after students staged a violent protest, and as a response, police resorted to lathi charge. All right, Gaurav is joining us live for more details in this story. Gaurav, what are the updates? Kya jankari?
देखिए बिल्कुल इस वक्त हम मौजूद हैं पीएसआईटी के उस कैंपस में और अपने पीछे अगर तस्वीरें आपको दिखाएं तो देखिए वहीं पर छात्र हैं जहां पर प्रोटेस्ट कर रहे हैं अपने हॉस्टल्स के बाहर। क्योंकि आपको बता दें ये प्रोटेस्ट सुबह ही जिस तरह से शुरू हुआ था, एक छात्र की कल मौत हो जाती है, जिसको लेकर के आज जो छात्र थे उसके साथी छात्र उन्होंने आज एक प्रोटेस्ट किया था कि कैसे जो कॉलेज मैनेजमेंट था वहां पर काम चल रहा था और उसके बाद एक छात्र बाइक से जा रहा होता है और धूल के कारण जेसीबी से भिड़कर उसकी मौत हो जाती है। जिसके बाद आज प्रोटेस्ट हुआ। प्रोटेस्ट के बाद छात्रों की कई डिमांड्स थी जिनको लेकर के उनका कहना था कि अक्सर उन पर जो हैवी पेनाल्टी है फाइन के तौर पर वो लगाई जाती है, जिसके चलते वो आज अपनी बात मैनेजमेंट के सामने रख रहे थे। उसके बाद ही आपको बता दें कहीं ना कहीं मैनेजमेंट के द्वारा उनकी जब बात नहीं मानी गई तो जो प्रदर्शन था वो उग्र होता गया। भारी पुलिस बल यहाँ पर तैनात हुआ और उसके बाद पुलिस से तीखी नोकझोंक के बाद जो पुलिस है उसके द्वारा लाठीचार्ज की गई। मैं तस्वीरें आपको दिखाऊं तो देखिए शीशे, कैंपस के जो शीशे हैं वो तक टूटे हुए दिख रहे हैं तमाम जगहों पर। आप देखिए इस तरह का नजारा है। क्योंकि आपको बता दें जिस तरह से पुलिस के लाठीचार्ज के बाद जो छात्र थे कहीं न कहीं उनमें आक्रोश है और साफ तौर पर ये आक्रोश देखने को भी मिल रहा है। क्योंकि सुबह से ही जिस तरह से अपनी मांगों को लेकर के कॉलेज प्रशासन के सामने अपनी बात रख रहे थे और उसके चलते ही जब कॉलेज प्रशासन के द्वारा इनकी बात नहीं मानी गई तब इसके बाद जो प्रदर्शन था वो उग्र होता है और उसके बाद पुलिस के द्वारा छात्रों पर लाठीचार्ज किया जाता है। इतना ही नहीं, इसमें सिर्फ लड़की नहीं कई जो महिलाएं हैं वो भी इसमें घायल है, जो महिला छात्र थी वो भी घायल है, जिसको लेकर के काफी आक्रोश है छात्रों में जो देखने को मिल रहा है।
बिल्कुल गौरव, जस्टिस फॉर प्रखर के नारे भी वहां लगाए गए थे, काफी नारेबाजी भी हुई थी, माहौल काफी। And these are the visuals of, so we'll try to reconnect with the Gaurav once again, but these are the visuals of from PSIT College, Kanpur, the exclusive visuals, live visuals from the college where police resorted to lathi charge. Now, the student protest got violent at Kanpur's PSIT over the death of a student And also, Justice for Prakhar slogans were raised in Kanpur's PSIT campus. All right, Gaurav is back with us. Gaurav, जरा विस्तार से बताइएगा, वहाँ पर नारेबाजी भी बहुत जोरदार नारेबाजी की गई थी और प्रखर के लिए न्याय मांगा गया था, जस्टिस फॉर प्रखर के नारे भी लगाए गए थे। आप बात भी करते रहिए, दिखाते भी रहिए।
जी बिल्कुल सुबह से ही जिस तरह से आपको दिखा तो जस्टिस फॉर प्रखर को लेकर के नारे लगाए गए और प्रखर की जो मौत हुई उसको चलते ही जो ये प्रोटेस्ट था वो शुरू हुआ था और उसके बाद छात्रों की जो भीड़ थी वो लगातार बढ़ती गई और उसके बाद आपको बता दें इनकी तमाम जो डिमांड्स थी कॉलेज से, जिसके चलते पूर्व के कुछ सालों पहले की बात की जाए तो छात्र ने सुसाइड भी किया था, क्योंकि इनका मानना है कि यहाँ पर अटेंडेंस को लेकर के हैवी पेनाल्टी फाइन के तौर पर ली जाती, जिसके चलते इन्होंने अपनी डिमांड्स रखी, टाइमिंग्स को लेकर डिमांड्स रखी, जिनके द्वारा कॉलेज प्रशासन इनकी मांग को नहीं मान रहा था, जिसके बाद जो प्रदर्शन था वो उग्र हो गया और उसके बाद पुलिस ने इनको लाठीचार्ज किया, इनको पीछे करने के लिए खदेड़ने का प्रयास किया, जिसमें कई छात्रों को चोट भी आई है। वहीं एक एसीपी और एक जो कांस्टेबल भी है पुलिस के, जिनको मामूली रूप से जो घायल हुए हैं। वहीं अब देखिए नारेबाजी एक बार फिर शुरू हो चुकी है हॉस्टल के बाद, जहां पुलिस को लेकर के जो विरोध है वो है छात्रों में, चूंकि छात्रों का कहना है कि हमारी नाराजगी कॉलेज प्रशासन से थी, लेकिन पुलिस को जो लाठीचार्ज है वो क्यों करना पड़ा, जिसके चलते छात्रों में काफी आक्रोश है और वो अपनी बात को प्रमुखता से रखना चाह रहे हैं। उनका कहना है कि कॉलेज प्रशासन के द्वारा कोई भी उनसे बात करने को तैयार नहीं है और जिसके बाद कोई भी जो समन्वय है दोनों में वो नहीं बन पा रहा है। लेकिन आपको बता दें साफ तौर पर छात्र जो भारी मात्रा में सुबह से ही जस्टिस फॉर प्रखर को लेकर के उनकी नारेबाजी थी और वो इकट्ठा हुए थे, उनका जो आक्रोश था अपने साथी छात्र की मौत को लेकर के था, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं जो विवाद था वो बढ़ता गया और उसके साथ ही अब जो तस्वीरें थी वो उग्र हो गई। तमाम कॉलेज के जो शीशे हैं वो टूटे हुए, गमले टूटे बिखरे हैं। मैनेजमेंट को लेकर के पूरा इनका जो आक्रोश था वो था, जिसके बाद अब ये प्रदर्शन देखने को मिल रहा है। बैक टू यू।
बिल्कुल गौरव, स्थिति अभी भी वहां पर तनावपूर्ण सी नजर आती है, छात्र अभी भी आक्रोशित नजर आ रहे हैं। वहां का हाल कैसा है और वो जो मृत्यु हुई थी जिस लड़के की, उसके कारण क्या था, उसका डेथ का कारण क्या था, ये भी जरा बताते हुए चलिएगा।
जी बिल्कुल, देखिए छात्रों का यह आरोप था कि कॉलेज में ही कंस्ट्रक्शन का काम चल रहा था और कॉलेज के बाहर गेट के तकरीबन 100 मीटर की दूरी पर एक जेसीबी खड़ी थी। वहां पर काफी धुंध होने के कारण जो छात्र था उसकी मोटरसाइकिल जेसीबी में जाके टकरा जाती है और उसके बाद वो गंभीर रूप से घायल हो जाता है और उसके बाद उसको अस्पताल में एडमिट कराया जाता है। इलाज के दौरान जो छात्र था उसकी मौत हो जाती है, जिसके बाद जो छात्र थे उनका ये कहना है कि जब कंस्ट्रक्शन का काम कॉलेज में चल रहा था।
गौरव, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया पूरी जानकारी हमारे साथ साझा करने के लिए। सो दीज आर द विजुअल्स फ्रॉम PSIT कॉलेज कानपुर। All right, viewers, now let's move on to another top story that we have right now at this moment. A speeding SUV rammed into a car in Goa, killing a 65-year-old who was on a holiday with his family. Now, as per eyewitnesses, the occupants even tried to switch seats after the accident. While police is investigating the accident based on available CCTV footages and eyewitness accounts, here's a report on what occurred.
A high-speed rented Thar killed a 65-year-old in Goa. Bhagat Ram Sharma was killed after the speeding SUV rammed his hatchback at the Happy Bar junction in Asagao. It is being reported that a young woman was driving the car. The incident sparked immediate tension as onlookers claimed the SUV's occupants tried to switch seats after the crash. The police have started investigation on the basis of CCTV footage and eyewitnesses. The family of the deceased was on a safari in Goa in their private car. The impact was so severe that the front portion of the car was shattered. The accident spread panic in the area and local residents rushed to help. While investigation is on, a 5-month-old baby fortunately survived this horrific accident.
All right, viewers, there's a very big breaking news coming in right now at this moment, and this is about the racial abuse of the Northeasterns in Malviya Nagar. A racist couple have been arrested after 2 days of drama. Very big development when it comes to the racial discrimination and abuse of 3 women from Northeast in New Delhi's Malviya Nagar recently. Reactions were pouring in, and now we were continuously showing this story, and as an impact, you can see the racist couple has been arrested after 2 days of drama. Biggest development in the racial abuse case. Now the racist couple has been arrested. Big update on the racist couple, on the racist attack on the northeasterns in Delhi's Malviya Nagar. The racist couple has been arrested after 2 days of drama. Now, it was a disagreement over dust which turned into a racist attack in Delhi, and now it's a very big development where the racist couple who were hurling racial abuses on the northeasterns have now been arrested. Big development in the racial abuse case. Ruby Jain and her husband has been arrested. Very big development in the racial abuse case. The racist couple has been arrested after 2 days of drama. The Delhi racist couple has now been arrested. Very big development. The racist couple has been arrested after 2 days of drama. Very big development in this case. First, Ruby was arrested, and now the couple, both of them, have been arrested. The racist couple has been arrested by the police. Very big development in this case. Now, this was a case where a disagreement over dust turned into a racist attack in New Delhi, and a very big development because racial abuses were hurled over at the northeastern citizens, and now big development here. Now, the racist couple has now been arrested. Very big development in the Delhi racism case. A big development in the Malviya Nagar racial abuse case. It was a racial abuse of northeasterns, and this is a very big update where the racist couple has now been arrested. All right, let's once again watch the full sequence of what happened exactly that day.
पॉलिटिशियन है उसका बाप, तू क्या औकात है तेरी आने की वहाँ पे? जबान में काबू रख अपनी।
आप बिना अंदर कर रहे
कि क्या बोला? देख रहे हो एग्रेशन इनका?
क्या बोला? हम दारू पीते हैं। मेरा रूम चेक करो, एक भी चीज मिला ना उसके बाद देखेंगे।
पीछे करके बात कर, उंगली पीछे करके बात कर, उंगली पीछे करके बात कर।
बुढ़ा
35 साल का लड़का तेरे यहाँ बुढ़ा होता होगा क्योंकि ड्रग्स इतने करते हो तुम लोग। कस्टम ऑफिसर का बेटा है वो, पॉलिटिशियन है उसका बाप। तू क्या औकात है तेरी आने की वहाँ पे? तेरे यहाँ पे आदमी मसाज पार्लरों में काम करते हैं, हमारे यहाँ नहीं। पढ़े लिखे है वो।
कहाँ के
वो मेरे को बोल रही है तेरा आदमी मसाज पार्लर में मिला होगा।
Let's also listen into what Kiran Rijiju has said on this racial abuse case.
नहीं, ऐसा है, अभी दिल्ली में 3 अरुणाचल लड़की के साथ मालविया नगर में जो घटना हुई है, तीनों अरुणाचल लड़की के साथ में हमारे ऑफिस से, मेरा खुद ऑफिस का स्टाफ टच में है, और पहले दिन से हम दिल्ली पुलिस के टच में है। अभी नॉर्थ ईस्ट का कोई भी आदमी, लड़का लड़की, स्टूडेंट्स, किसी के साथ दिल्ली में कुछ भी घटना होता है तो तुरंत एक्शन लेता है। तो इसमें भी जो घटना हुआ मालविया नगर में, पुलिस कार्रवाई किया, मैं खुद बात करके मैं फॉलोअप कर रहा हूँ और अरेस्ट भी हो गया है। अभी सख्ती से हम लोग कानूनी तौर पर एक्शन भी लेगा और सबक भी सिखाएगा कि नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लोगों के साथ बुरा बर्ताव नहीं होना चाहिए। और आपको तो मालूम ही है, पहले में तो हमारा नॉर्थ ईस्ट के बच्चों के साथ में कितना टॉर्चर होता था, मार के फेंक देता था, कोई पूछने वाला भी नहीं होता था, और पुलिस पे एक्शन नहीं लेते थे। उल्टा पुलिस भी हमारा नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लोगों को पहले तो हैरेसमेंट करते थे, आजकल तो ये कर नहीं सकता है। मैं खुद भी बैठा हूँ, मैं जब होम मिनिस्ट्री में था उसी समय प्रधानमंत्री जी का आशीर्वाद से हम लोगों ने स्पेशल दिल्ली पुलिस में एक फोर्स बनाया है, एक स्पेशल सेल खोला है, जिससे नॉर्थ ईस्ट का कोई भी प्रॉब्लम है तो स्पेशल हेल्पलाइन में खबर करता है और एक्शन लेता है। अभी देश में अलग अलग स्टेट में भी नॉर्थ ईस्ट के बच्चों के साथ अगर कुछ भी घटना घटते हैं तो हम लोग फॉलोअप करते हैं। पहले जैसे नहीं है, अभी चेंज हो गया। पहले तो हमारा कोई माँ बाप नहीं था, नॉर्थ ईस्ट के लोगों को इतना इंसल्ट करते थे और टॉर्चर करते थे, कॉलेज में भी चुपचाप सहन करके बैठते थे। अभी तो ऐसा नहीं है, अभी तो हम लोग खुद हैं। मैं खुद एक सीनियर मंत्री के नाते मेरा ऑफिस लगातार कोई भी प्रॉब्लम हो नॉर्थ ईस्ट का, मेरा ऑफिस उसमें एक्शन लेता है।
All right, so this is a very big development in this racial abuse case. Now, the racist couple has now been arrested. Very big development in the racial abuse case, which happened in Malvi Nagar. We also showed you the entire sequence. A big development in the Malvi Nagar racial abuse case on your television screen. All right, viewers, it's time to slip into a short commercial break, but don't go anywhere, because coming up next, India closer to sealing FTA with Israel as PM Modi meets Netanyahu. FTA conclusion likely tomorrow. Big development coming up.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ 8 मिनट में तैयार क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा हार्डकोर मसाला
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
MDH की हल्दी मिर्ची धनिया करे कमाल ये रंग दे ये खुशबू दे ये तीखा ये कम पड़े क्या निराला MDH मसाला.
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, and as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same SpiceJet. This is the same SpiceJet that does not have the money to play the Bangladesh government, which is why it had been, I don't know the present situation, not allowed to fly in Bangladeshi airspace. They're out of money.
सीक्रेट रेसिपी MDH का जीरा सिप जल जीरा मसाला. थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद यही तो है इसकी खास बात. वाओ मामा क्या स्वाद है. अरे मेरे राजा सबका राजा प्योर मसाला.
Now here's the reality. It's fact, not fiction. You are sitting on a plane. You're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen.
From Asia's largest news headquarters, setting the agenda for Bharat. You're watching Republic.
let's take a look at the headlines at this hour. India closer to sealing FTA with Israel as Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets Netanyahu FTA conclusion likely tomorrow.
Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement.
Donald Trump addresses the State of Union, claims he had not intervened. If he had not intervened, in fact, 35 million would have died in India-Pakistan war. After big Republic impact, Rajasthan Government orders immediate shutdown of illegal mining operations in Aravalli Hills. Shooter's uncle in Bulandshahr has been detained by the police, a big Republic impact. No black box found on plane that crashed in Jharkhand involving Redbird Airways aircraft. All right, viewers, US President Donald Trump, as part of his State of Union address, repeated his claims that he had stopped 8 wars globally so far. Now, speaking specifically on the conflict that took place between India and Pakistan in May last year, Trump claimed that Shehbaz Sharif told him that 35 million people would have been killed during Operation Sindoor had he not stepped in. He said, and I quote him here, Pakistan and India would have had a nuclear war. 35 million people said that Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for his involvement. And this is not the first time, viewers, that Trump has talked about intervening and ending the India-Pakistan conflict. However, New Delhi maintains that if the direct engagements between DGMOs of India and Pakistan that led to the ceasefire. So this is a big news that we're covering at this point in time. India has always kept his stance clear that it was the talks between both DGMOs that led to this ceasefire. Let's listen in to this bite.
Cambodia and Thailand, Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement. Kosovo and Serbia, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the Congo and Rwanda, and of course the war in Gaza, which proceeds at a very low level. It's just about there. And I want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for your help. Thank you, Steve. Cambodia and Thailand, Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement. Kosovo and Serbia, Israel and Iran, Egypt and Ethiopia, Armenia and Azerbaijan, the Congo and Rwanda, and of course the war in Gaza, which proceeds at a very low level. It's just about there. And I want to thank Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner for your help. Thank you, Steve.
All right, I have with me Foreign Affairs expert Rabinder Sachdeva with us. Rabinder Sachdeva, this is a big statement by Donald Trump, who has definitely exposed Pakistan on global stage, where he said that Pakistan, in fact, is the country who came begging to the United States, asking that please stop this war because millions of lives otherwise will be lost. Now, we know that India was shattering Pakistan's terror bases at that time. How do you read this statement by Donald Trump?
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be with you. Trump has repeated this number earlier also, that Shehbaz Sharif told me, or the Pakistan PM told me, that 35 million people would have died had the war continued. Or rather the other way around, Shahbaz Sharif played on the ego of Trump by telling him that if you stop this war, you will save 35 million lives, right? So that's something, which massages Trump's ego. And so we are getting a better understanding of what triggered the perspective or the views of Trump as to why he thinks that he's done a huge peacemaking job because he has saved 35 million lives. That is a tune which Shahbaz Sharif played to him. As to what Trump said today, I think it's nuances of language and communication and comma. 35 million people would have died, comma, said the Prime Minister of Pakistan had the war continued. I don't think that he is claiming, though Trump can claim anything, but he is not claiming that 35 million people said that Shahbaz Sharif would have died had the war not stopped. I think there's, that nuance out there. But whatever it be, bottom line is that Pakistan played to Trump's ego, and it's very clear now, or much clearer now, as to what, really got Trump going on this particular line of thought. The idea was that he is doing a great job for humanity by saving 35 million lives. That is one. On the other hand, in parallel, so it's also becoming clearer as to what Pakistan was doing in those days. So on the one hand, it was massaging Trump's ego, inflating, and telling him that, please stop this war. You would have the credit of saving 35 million lives. That's what they were playing with Pakistan. And on the other hand, they were reaching out to India for a ceasefire. And the ceasefire which happened came about because Pakistan, their DG military operations, reached out to our DG military operations because they'd got such a whacking and they were losing many of their assets, and they could see the writing on the wall. So I think now two things are clear as to what Pakistan was doing. One, it was massaging Trump's ego, showing him, the wonders that he could do and save 35 million lives, which is a huge thing for any human being to be able to achieve, right? So Trump was happily coasting along on that balloon. On the other hand, Pakistan was desperately trying also to, get India to pause the war.
Robindra Sachdeva, you are someone who know Donald Trump very well. You have written a book also on him. Seems like there is a parallel here. Donald Trump goes all out on his business negotiations, and Shahbaz Sharif is the one who goes all out on propaganda politics. And once that is busted, he takes a back step. Because we've already seen a statement from Pakistan, who is in fact welcoming the statement by Donald Trump. So basically confirming that yes, Pakistan is the one who begged to United States to stop this war.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely crystal clear. I mean, Trump has been saying it, and he is saying that by stopping this war, he saved 35 million lives. That is what Shahbaz Sharif is telling him. Where did Trump get this number of 35 million? This number of 35 million was given to Trump, showing a threat to life of 35 million people, that 35 million people will die. Where did this number come from? It came from Pakistan only. No? Pakistan conveyed this to Trump, that you stop this war because otherwise 35 million people would die. And Trump wanted to take credit for that. But on the other hand, Pakistan, that's why I'm saying Pakistan was following a two-track strategy, it seems. On the one hand, reaching out, massaging the ego of Trump, giving him all the, praises that it could, up to the heavens and up to the skies, up to the Nobel Prize, right? And at the same time, Pakistan was reaching out to India for a pause in the conflict, and it's Pakistan's direct outreach to India which led to India stopping the war or pausing the war.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Robindra Sachdeva, for joining us and giving your perspective on this. Thank you once again. All right, moving on to another special 1-minute package. Let's see how panic gripped the area outside Manipur University after a suspected IED was found near the Manipur University gate. According to sources, a suspicious object, in fact, along with a handwritten note, was spotted near the main gate of Manipur University. Now, as per the sources, the object was fabricated using 2 empty juice cans, tightly wrapped with red tape and fitted with wires to resemble an actual explosive device, clearly designed to create fear, panic and alarm at the university campus. So you have this Right, the crackdown on illegal Bangladeshi nationals continues in Mumbai when Versova police taking major action against Bangladeshi nationals. Now, the police arrested 25 Bangladeshi nationals in Andheri West. All these Bangladeshi nationals had entered India illegally. A violent clash broke out inside a Shia mosque in Muradabad during Ramadan. A video of the fight showing people using belts and slippers against each other while children screamed in fear has now gone viral on social media platforms. Both groups have now filed cases against each other. Now we bring to you an update on the Jharkhand aircraft crash. Now no cockpit, no voice recorder or flight data recorder was found on Redbird plane. No black box found on plane that crashed in Jharkhand. First certificate for airworthiness was issued in 1987 for the plane. Report says that plane lost communication 23 minutes after takeoff. Now, AAIB report claims that there was no mandatory requirement for voice recorders. So this is a big news that we're getting. After the crash, when the investigation team went there, they found that there was no black box, no cockpit voice recorder. There. All right, I have my colleague Harsha live with us. Harsha, thank you so much for joining. Now, this is a big update, no black box. And in fact, we have a statement saying that there was no requirement for that. So, can you tell us more about it?
So at the time when this particular charter got the airworthiness certificate in 1987, that time there was no requirement of CVR and FDR in this particular aircraft, because in the year 1987 what was seen as that the weight of the aircraft was around 4700 kg, which at that time didn't require CVR and FDR. It was not needed, but the rules, norms and the accessibility had changed, in 2016 and 1990. 1990 it came from the FDR, and in 2016 it came for the CVR. That these both the equipments are very important in the charter planes who are weighted 5700 kg or above, and this particular aircraft didn't follow this accessibility data and date because of the 1987 making of this aircraft, and that is the reason why it didn't have the black box at the accident spot. The AIB team didn't find any black box CVR or FDR to investigate into the issue of the crash, the reasons behind crash, and now we have the detailed synopsis from the side of the AIB also telling us the detailed note that what was the making of the aircraft. The aircraft was 25 years old, and that's the reason there were so many issues in the aircraft. In fact, there could be the issue in the weather radar system of the aircraft as well. That will be investigated with the debris which has been found at the accident spot, the body, tail, nose and the engine which has been recovered. Now the line of investigation will not be the black box bit because it was not in the aircraft, but majorly the line of investigation will be the accounts of the eyewitnesses and also the evidences and the debris found in the accident spot, and that will include the investigation, not the black box, because this particular plane charter didn't had the black box because of its making in 1987 and the certification of airworthiness in the year 1987. After that, regulatory body never ever audited the charters and helicopters providing services to the passengers, and that's the reason why they didn't fix the CVR and FDR in the aircraft. Back to you.
Harsha, so what we are gathering from what we are getting from you is that this was a very old aircraft we're talking about. So certainly questions will be raised as to if the aircraft was properly maintained or not. The maintenance was taken care by Redbird Airways or not. But apart from that, if the guidelines were updated, why this aircraft did not have the black box also installed in it?
Yes, the aircraft was very old, 25 years old, and the aircraft didn't even meet the quality standards. The quality standards is very important to inquire, and with the debris of the tail and body which has been taken from the spot by AIB, they will investigate whether this the aircraft was maintained enough, what were the MEL issues in this particular charter, did this meet the quality standards or not, because if the aircraft is in not proper condition, if the equipments are not in proper proper condition. If the MEL is lacking, then how come a charter can work for a medical services, providing to the passengers in the air ambulance, providing air ambulance services to the passengers? How can this happen if the aircraft is very old? And if this happens, then there should be an immediate FIR on the promoter and founder of the company, which is Mr. Akshay Kumar, because no company can allow an aircraft with low quality standards, with the not airworthiness, to fly in the air. And in this condition, the family took a loan of 8 lakh rupees, booked a charter, took this medical service, to take the patient from Ranchi to National Capital, and all 7 of them died. So that's the tragic loss, and that raises a lot of question on the maintenance of the aircraft and how the quality standards were met or not. That will be investigated, and it will get to know in investigation only exactly what was the issue with the aircraft and the system inside. Back to you.
Absolutely, Harsha. Keep tracking this investigation for us. Now, shifting our focus to another news, ladies and gentlemen. From Bulandshahr firing case, where 8-year-old Riyansh is still fighting for his life after being shot in the head during a wedding procession in Bulandshahr in Uttar Pradesh. Now, the accused, Krishna Verma, allegedly 16-year-old, is on the run with his father, who reportedly encouraged him to fire the gun. Now, Riyansh's family claims that Krishna isn't a minor, contradicting police reports. The boy's condition remains critical on ventilator support at Fortis Hospital, Noida. Now, the incident has sparked widespread outrage, with questions now being raised about the Uttar Pradesh police's response. Now, the police has already seized the licensed pistol and is collecting CCTV footage after rigorous reporting by Republic TV. Now, remember, yesterday we also reported to you, and we also spoke to the parents of Riyansh, 8-year-old, who is fighting for his life and is in the ICU right now. You can see the visuals of Riyansh, who is fighting for his life. All right, let's listen in to the confrontation that Republic TV did with the police officials.
सर, एक 8 साल का बच्चा जिंदगी मौत से लड़ रहा है, आप विधायक है सर। विधायक जी, ऐसे कैसे चलेगा? वो बच्चा जिंदगी और मौत से लड़ रहा है, पुलिस 5 दिन में किसी को ढूंढ नहीं पाई है। विधायक जी, बाहर आ जाइए, कम से कम बात कर लीजिए, एक जवाब दे दीजिए। आपके ही लोग हैं ये लोग। आप प्रदीप जी, ये 8 साल का बच्चा कोमा में है, पुलिस 5 दिन से कुछ नहीं कर पाई है अभी तक। वो जो पिस्टल है, लाइसेंस पिस्टल है, वो तक बरामद नहीं कर पाई है। आपके ही विधानसभा के लोग हैं सर, जवाब मांग रहे हैं आपसे। एक जवाब तो बनता है यार। प्रदीप जी, एक जवाब, आपके ही लोग हैं, आपसे बात। सर, एक बच्चा 8 साल का, आप बिल्कुल आप भोजन कर लीजिएगा। एक 8 साल का
अपराधी है, उसमें उसको सजा मिलेगी। पुलिस ने FIR दर्ज करा ली, वो लश्त करेगी।
सर, 5 दिन हो गए, बच्चा।
कोई बात नहीं है ना, पुलिस ने FIR दर्ज कर ली ना।
क्या इस मामले से अवगत हैं?
मेरे को जानकारी में कल आई थी, मैंने उसको भेजा है वहाँ। अगर वो अपराधी जिसने अपराध करा वो पकड़ा जाएगा, बंद होगा, जेल में जाएगा।
आप क्या पुलिस से जवाब मांगेंगे? क्योंकि आप
पुलिस से बात करें, पूछेंगे भाई अपराधी क्यों नहीं पकड़े जा रहे।
आपकी विधानसभा
मैंने मान ली ना भाई, बात करेंगे ना, क्यों नहीं पकड़े जा रहे। FIR दर्ज हो गई है, उसमें जो दोषी हैं वो जेल जाएंगे।
अभी 5 दिन में क्यों? क्योंकि अभी तक उनको वो लाइसेंस वेपन है वो भी बरामद।
विधानसभा में चली, विधानसभा से आई तो माता वैष्णो देवी चले गए। अभी कल लौटे, कल उसके परिवार के लोग आए थे, तो उनसे बात करेंगे, जो भी उनकी मदद करेगी। सरकार पीछे नहीं है, योगी जी की सरकार है, हर किसी को न्याय मिलेगा भाई।
और क्या रियांश की किसी तरीके की मदद करवाए? 8 साल का छोटा सा बच्चा है।
कोई विधायक के लायक कोई काम होगा तो 100% मदद करी जाएगी।
वो कोमा में इस वक्त ICU में, उसका
अगर कोई काम होगा 110% मदद करेंगे।
क्या आपकी उनके परिवार वालों से अभी तक बात हो पाई?
कल उन परिवार में संस्कार आया था, मेरे को नहीं पता क्या परिवार में है, लेकिन मैंने उनसे कहा कि जो भी मदद हुई करेगी सरकार, अपना काम करेगी। योगी जी की सरकार है, आप निश्चिंत रहो। अपराधी कोई भी हो वो बचेगा नहीं किसी हालत में।
तो आप क्या पुलिस वालों से बात कर रहे हो? हम हमारी SP सिटी से बात,
प्रभारी मंत्री आएंगे, बात करेंगे, विषय रखेंगे। कल प्रभारी मंत्री जी आएंगे, विषय रखूंगा मैं। ठीक है। अभी आपके सामने यार भोजन सुबह से लिया नहीं, चलो कोई नहीं, वो दे दिया ना, ठीक काम कर।
All right, joining me, Harsh, you spoke with the MLA of Bulandshahr, who clearly seems to be very, very irate when you were asking hard-hitting questions to him. He seems to be dodging many questions that you were asking, that why the licensed pistol has not been seized yet and why the accused and the father is still on the run. What is the response like on the ground? There must be a lot of outrage in the society where this incident took place.
Well, right, Hina, an 8-year-old child continues to fight for his life after getting struck by a celebratory shot that was fired from a licensed weapon. Now, the public representative from the same area needs to be answerable, needs to be held accountable. And that is what we did a few minutes back when we confronted the local MLA here, who is Pradeep Chaudhary. He is from BJP. We confronted him. We asked him the tough questions because head should roll when an 8-year-old child has to fight for his life after suffering fatal injuries that was caused by a celebratory shot that was fired by a licensed weapon. Now here on the ground, it's day 5 from the tragedy. It's February 25th. This incident took place on February 19th. It's day 5th, and none of the accused has been detained at this point. Only the police has only managed to get the brother of the accused father. He is in police custody. He's being questioned about the whereabouts of both of these two accused. In fact, the police have not even managed to trace down the weapon that was used in this very celebratory shot that struck 8-year-old Riyansh, who continues to battle for his life at Noida Hospital.
Absolutely, Harsh. And we are seeing that nobody, because this is now a national sensation, we have been continuously chasing this particular story at Republic TV. But no response and no visit to 8-year-old Riyansh, who is fighting for his life and is in coma. Now, parents have also said that they have not been reached out by anybody so far. So why these MLAs, these police officials, they are being so hesitant to issue a direct statement or even sort of issue any sort of a statement on this particular case, which is getting so much attention now?
Well, right. In fact, Republic is the only channel that is intensively reporting on this matter, and this is a Republic impact now that five different teams have been formed by the Bulandshahr police to trace down the father-son duo who are the primary accused in this case. This is a Republic impact that they have now finally managed to detain the elder brother of the accused father. He is now being questioned about the whereabouts of the accused and his father. Now, yesterday we got this breaking for our viewers that the family of the 8-year-old victim who continues to battle for his life is claiming that the accused, who is being considered as a minor, might not really be a minor. In fact, they have also managed to managed to produce a Facebook profile in front of us that clearly shows that the victim, who is being considered as a minor, has mentioned his date of birth as August 2007, which makes it a little more evident that he might not
all of these
really.
Details, of course, conflicting statements related to the age of the accused. Now, let's listen in to this confrontation that we had with the Bulandshahr MLA once again.
सर, एक 8 साल का बच्चा जिंदगी मौत से लड़ रहा है, आप विधायक है सर। विधायक जी, ऐसे कैसे चलेगा? वो बच्चा जिंदगी और मौत से लड़ रहा है, पुलिस 5 दिन में किसी को ढूंढ नहीं पाई है। विधायक जी, बाहर आ जाइए, कम से कम बात कर लीजिए, एक जवाब दे दीजिए। आपके ही लोग हैं ये लोग। आप प्रदीप जी, ये 8 साल का बच्चा कोमा में है, पुलिस 5 दिन से कुछ नहीं कर पाई है अभी तक। वो जो पिस्टल है, लाइसेंस पिस्टल है, वो तक बरामद नहीं कर पाई है। आपके विधानसभा के लोग हैं सर, जवाब मांग रहे हैं आपसे। एक जवाब तो बनता है यार। प्रदीप जी, एक जवाब, आपके ही लोग हैं, आपसे बात। सर एक बच्चा 8 साल का, आप बिल्कुल आप भोजन कर लीजिएगा, एक 8 साल का
अपराधी है उसमें, उसको सजा मिलेगी, पुलिस ने FIR दर्ज करा ली, वो लश्त करेगी।
सर 5 दिन हो गए बच्चा,
कोई बात नहीं है ना, पुलिस ने FIR दर्ज कर ली ना।
क्या इस मामले से अवगत हैं?
ना, मेरे को जानकारी में कल आई थी, मैंने उसको भेजा है वहाँ। अगर वो अपराधी जिसने अपराध करा वो पकड़ा जाएगा, बंद होगा, जेल में जाएगा।
आप क्या पुलिस से जवाब मांगेंगे? क्योंकि आप
पुलिस से बात करें, पूछेंगे भाई अपराधी क्यों नहीं पकड़े जा रहे?
आपकी विधानसभा
मैंने मान ली ना भाई, बात करेंगे ना, क्यों नहीं पकड़े जा रहे? FIR दर्ज हो गई है उसमें, जो दोषी हैं वो जेल जाएंगे।
अभी 5 दिन में क्योंकि अभी तक उनको वो लाइसेंस वेपन है वो भी बरामद।
विधानसभा में चली, विधानसभा से आई तो माता वैष्णो देवी चले गए, अभी कल लौटे, कल उसके परिवार के लोग आए थे, तो उनसे बात करेंगे, जो भी उनकी मदद करेगी। सरकार पीछे नहीं है, योगी जी की सरकार है, हर किसी को न्याय मिलेगा भाई।
और क्या रियांश की किसी तरीके की मदद करवाए? 8 साल का छोटा सा बच्चा है,
कोई विधायक के लायक कोई काम होगा तो 100% मदद करी जाएगी।
वो कोमा में इस वक्त ICU में, उसका
अगर कोई काम होगा 110% मदद करेंगे।
क्या आपकी उनकी परिवार वालों से अभी तक बात हो पाई?
कल उन परिवार में संस्कार आया था, मेरे को नहीं पता क्या परिवार में है, लेकिन मैंने उनसे कहा कि जो भी मदद हुई करेगी, सरकार अपना काम करेगी, योगी जी की सरकार है, आप निश्चिंत रहो, अपराधी कोई भी हो वो बचेगा नहीं किसी हालत में।
तो आप क्या पुलिस वालों से बात कर रहे हो? हम हमारी SP सिटी से बात,
प्रभारी मंत्री आएंगे, बात करेंगे, विषय रखेंगे, कल प्रभारी मंत्री जी आएंगे, विषय रखूंगा मैं। ठीक है। अभी आपके सामने यार भोजन सुबह से लिया नहीं है, चलो कोई नहीं, वो दे दिया ना, ठीक काम करें।
All right, taking a short break. Coming up, India closer to sealing a free trade agreement with Israel as Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets Benjamin Netanyahu. FTA conclusion likely tomorrow.
आर प्योर शाही पनीर मसाला, डिलीशियस, हेल्दी एवरीडे।
केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ रे, दिल झूमे देखो मतवारा हुआ रे, केसरिया से मन जोगी हुआ।
हर पल मनाओ केसरी त्योहार, विमल बोलो जुबान केसरी। अब छोलिया हो या लोबिया, सफेद चने या काले चने, सब कुछ मजेदार बने।
Now here's the reality, it's fact not fiction. You are sitting on a plane, you're boarding the plane in the national capital of India for Leh at 6:08 in the morning. It's a SpiceJet plane. 6 minutes into the take, against the backdrop of daybreak and a beautiful sunrise, you suddenly look to your right towards the wings and you see the flames of fire on the wings of the plane. Your plane is on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, these are real visuals. This is the reality that the Civil Aviation Minister does not want you to see. This is the reality SpiceJet does not want you to see. This is the reality DGCA does not want you to see. Because at the cockpit, at that very moment while you're sitting in the plane, there are calls of Mayday, 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 Mayday. That is a flight emergency. The flight circles back. There's engine failure in one of the engines, lands at 6:49 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, and as you get off the plane, you realize this is the same SpiceJet. This is the same.
प्योर सूजी पास्ता उबालो मिलाओ और खाओ
8 मिनट में तैयार।
क्या टेस्ट है सबका राजा प्योर मसाला।
Amity has been ranked India's #1 not-for-profit private university for 11th year, with top 10 ranked institutions in management, engineering, biotech, law, masscom, telecom, hospitality, fashion and more. Yet another top ranking for Amity University.
आधे बाउल दही में 4 चम्मच MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला डाला, स्टर करो, पुदीना चटनी तैयार। MDH चटनी पुदीना मसाला। MDH
थोड़े में ज्यादा स्वाद, यही तो है इसकी खास बात। वाओ मामा, क्या स्वाद है। अरे मेरे राजा, सबका राजा प्योर मसाला।
Now here's the reality, it's fact not fiction. You are sitting on a plane, you're boarding the
Hello and welcome. You're watching Live and Breaking on Republic TV with me, Ishita Mitra. Now, viewers, the Prime Minister Modi has embarked on a two-day visit to Israel. We are closer to signing the FTA with the country. We'll get you all the details on the big visit. But first up, headlines. India closer to sealing FTA with Israel as Prime Minister Modi is set to meet Israeli Prime Minister. FTA conclusion likely tomorrow.
Pakistan and India would have been a nuclear war. 35 million people said the Prime Minister of Pakistan would have died if it were not for my involvement.
Donald Trump in his State of Union address claims had he not intervened, 35 million people would have died in Indo-Pak war. Republic's a big impact. Rajasthan Government orders immediate shutdown of illegal mining operations in Aravalli. Shooter's uncle detained in a Bulandshahr shooting case while Ryansh continues to battle for life in coma. No black box found on plane that crashed in Jharkhand involving a Red Bus Airways aircraft. All right, viewers, our top focus at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a two-day visit to Israel, the first being since July 2017, which was also the first ever by an Indian Prime Minister to the Jewish state. Now, the high-profile visit of the Indian Prime Minister comes on the heels of several other high-level ministerial exchanges from both the sides. This two-day visit now brings India one step closer to an FTA with Israel as Prime Minister Modi is set to meet Netanyahu. First round of negotiations have already been concluded, and we're looking at the FTA being concluded tomorrow. In fact, it's a two-day visit of the Prime Minister. We're looking at several engagements on this visit. To talk about the agenda, Prime Minister Modi is going to meet with the Israeli Prime Minister, in fact, who is set to receive the Prime Minister at the airport. High-level bilateral talks will take place between the two leaders. The focus will be on the strategic ties and the joint cooperation in the areas of security and defense. Now, Prime Minister Modi is also going to address the Israeli Parliament as a part of this visit, and a review is also going to take place on defense ties, as well as agreements will be signed on a defense tech. We're also looking at talks on advanced missile defense systems between the two countries. Talks on AI, quantum tech and cyber security will also take place. Now, viewers, discussions to boost the trade cooperation between the two countries are also lined up. And Prime Minister is also going to meet with the Israeli President Isaac Herzog. Further, he's also going to visit the memorial to pay tribute to the victims of Holocaust. So those are the engagements, in fact, lined up for the Prime Minister. Now, my colleague Abhishek joins me with more details on this. Abhishek, it's a big visit for the Prime Minister, the first since 2017. Lots of engagement on the agenda, from defense ties to security to even FTA. What can we expect from this visit?
Well, you see, the expectations are that we are going to see a comprehensive upgrade in India-Israel ties. Not that they are in any manner neglected or weak. They are already very strong and enduring. But with this state visit, we are going to see a tremendous push coming in to the next level. That's how our contacts are really projecting it. This state visit of Prime Minister Modi to Israel, where the two leaders, Prime Minister and his Israeli counterpart Benjamin Netanyahu, are going to review what has been achieved over the last decade or so since the two made a mutual visit to each nation. So Prime Minister Modi visited Israel in 2017. Prime Minister Netanyahu reciprocated it with 2018 visit in the month of January. And since then, because of the COVID break, those bilateral visits have not taken place, and it's happening now. You can expect that, given the fact that it is happening in the backdrop of Operation Sindoor And Israel was one of the first countries to condemn Pahalgam terror attack, and it's not hidden the defense, existing strong defense partnership in terms of a joint collaboration on technological exchange and weapon systems purchases. I think you're going to see tremendous focus on that. Generally, when you talk about India-Israel, that remains under the spotlight, though of course there are other aspects like agriculture, like innovation, like technology. And remember, Israeli exports, technology remains a key component of Israeli exports, particularly in the cyber domain. So you're going to see a lot of push happening there during the visit on all these fronts. Prime Minister personally, Ishita, has had a long connect going back to his days as Chief Minister of Gujarat when he visited Israel in 2006. Since then, he became the first Prime Minister of the country to be visiting Israel, and that itself was a statement of sorts being made by Narendra Modi. And he made history by visiting Israel in 2017. Now, also look at the backdrop in which this visit is happening, Ishita, which is that there are tensions in the Middle East, in West Asia, as we call it, and United States has really mobilized its biggest war machine yet since the 2003 Iraq war, and it's likely that there might be some action, and things are really hotting up, building up in that direction, and Prime Minister Modi landing in Tel Aviv in that backdrop itself is a significant statement of intent insofar as India's relevance in the Middle East is concerned. Remember, the visit was announced by Prime Minister Netanyahu himself when he spoke during his cabinet meeting and said that he's looking at this visit as shaping up of a hexagon of alliances, by which obviously he means the partnership that Israel has been building in the larger West Asia region, specifically the Muslim world, including the possibility of Saudi Arabia joining the Abraham Accords at some stage in future, not immediately because of the tensions prevailing. Be it Israel, UAE, India, United States, all coming together in the geography. The fact that Prime Minister visited Jordan and Oman in the month of December. Then in the month of January, we had UAE's President MBZ arriving in New Delhi. And then in the month of January, again, we had, in the month of February, in fact, we had the Arab League Summit taking place in New Delhi with the 27 Arab countries and their foreign ministers arriving. And that really shows the kind of salience India has really achieved with quiet diplomacy in the geography and Prime Minister's visit to Israel. So while on the one hand we have good relationship with Jordan, on the other we continue to emphasize that Palestine and the human rights of Palestinians need to be taken care of, even as India solidly backs Israel on its war against Hamas. So I think this is going to be a very significant visit in terms of overall upgrade of India-Israel ties and the personal chemistry between the two leaders, Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Netanyahu, to be seen there once he lands there in Tel Aviv, the David Ben-Gurion Airport.
So those are the discussions that will in fact top the agenda during Prime Minister Modi's Israel visit. I'm also being joined by Gillian Stark from Jerusalem on this. Gillian, what's the atmosphere on the ground as Prime Minister Modi has already embarked on the Israel visit? We're looking at top focus on defense, security and economic ties between the two countries. All right, Gillian, could you please unmute yourself?
Better? Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Gillian, we can hear you.
Perfect. Wonderful. Okay. Well, from the Israeli side, we are extremely excited. Basically, this just shows how far the India-Israel relations have evolved. And, you know, this cooperation that we're seeing is turning into a very broad strategic partnership. So from a security side, it's wonderful news. From a technology side, being able to combine everything that Tel Aviv has and everything that India has to offer is wonderful collaboration for us. So this trip is not just significant for the, bilateral ties, but also because we're welcoming very much India's participation in the Middle East and everything that India has to offer.
Right. Gillian, also, Prime Minister Modi is going to address the Israeli parliament. It was lit up in Indian colors, and we also saw Jerusalem Post at the front page of it posting a tribute to Prime Minister. So do tell us about the preparations on ground for Prime Minister's visit.
Yeah, so already today we've seen extra security out. That's pretty standard here in Israel. And basically people just preparing the way. Already in our sector, we've listened to quite a few people who are excited, very excited to listening to what this is going to bring today and are waiting with bated breath to see how these talks turn out over the next 2 days.
Right, and we're also looking at the conclusion of the FTA between the two countries. Several rounds of negotiations have already taken place, and big focus of this visit is going to be on the economic ties. So if you could share some details on that as well.
Yeah, the economic ties are really what we're looking forward to as well. These, as I mentioned previously, the tech and defense modernization and being able to tie those economically with each other. Trade deals are also this trade deal that they reached before after I think the 2017 visit. That trade deals reached I think somewhere in $3.6 billion already. So these are excellent partnerships that we here in Israel are very much looking forward to.
Right. Gillian, also the ties between the two countries, they go beyond the economic and the defense realm. There's a special camaraderie that the two leaders of the countries share, and also the people-to-people ties. So help us understand, how are people of Israel looking at this visit?
Well, the people-to-people ties are obviously here in Israel one of the things we're most excited about, just among the general populace. The knowledge that basically a more open communication and friendship with India is something that the Israelis are really looking forward to. Just the people on the street as well.
Right, of course, and we understand that the visit comes amid a backdrop of tensions in West Asia. So that's something that's also going to be on the discussion table between the two leaders. Help us understand what could we expect from that discussion. In fact, we have Iran, we have Gaza as well.
Yes, unfortunately, it's very difficult to say exactly what they'll speak of before they speak. Most of these topics are quite secretive, obviously, but there's definitely going to be some discussion, I would assume, on these new developments with Iran, especially with the buildup of the U.S. Military in the Middle East and the area as well as some discussions probably on, the cooperation between India and Israel for all of India's security concerns as well, and for making sure that the cooperation is truly bilateral for everything.
Right, of course. And also, we are hearing some reports saying that as part of the defense deal, the much focus is going to be on Israel's Iron Dome. Do we have any details about that?
I don't, unfortunately. The Iron Dome technology has been a big topic when they're speaking with India and the defense partnership. But unfortunately, I do not know any of the details of what they may be negotiating in regards to that.
All right. Thank you, Gillian, for joining us from Jerusalem and giving us all the details from the ground on Prime Minister Modi's Israel visit. Also joining us is Ratna Chakraborty. Now, thank you, Ratna, for joining us on this. As we were talking before, that Prime Minister Modi has already embarked on the Israel visit. A lot of preparations on the ground. Give us a sense of atmosphere that's around you about this visit.
Well, this is a really anticipated visit, both from the Israeli side and from the Indian side as well. The Prime Minister of India is coming after a long time. It's the last time he was here was in 2017. And he's coming at a period of time with a volatile Middle East. Prime Minister Netanyahu has articulated a concept of the hexagon of nations, which he believes is a security framework, bringing together India, key Arab partners and Mediterranean states, and the United States as a stabilizing element here. The United States president here, by the way, has given a 48-hour deadline to present a revised nuclear proposal to Iran, which expires today. And it comes at a point of time when there is a heavy military buildup and there are military aircraft landing in Israel. So it is a very tense moment, and Prime Minister Modi's presence in Israel carries the weight beyond the ceremony, because this visit is expected to reinforce not only defense and technology cooperation, innovation, AI, critical technology, but also this volatile Middle East.
Ratna, also, it's a packed visit for the Prime Minister, just 2 days and a lot of engagements lined up for him. So if you could just walk us through the schedule that we're looking at for the Prime Minister during the visit.
Yeah, so today the Prime Minister lands and the first thing that he does is to go and he becomes the first Indian Prime Minister to address the Israeli Knesset. That is taking bulk of the time today, that he's going and speaking at the Israeli Knesset, and after that he's going to the Innovation, one of the summits that have been organized for him to showcase the Israeli innovation technologies that Israel offers to India. That's something that he's going to visit today. And after that, there is a meeting with the Israeli Prime Minister for a dinner, a private dinner. And tomorrow, it's much more of a visit related to Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Memorial Site. And the Prime Minister has a meeting with the Israeli President. And after that, there is a meeting with the diaspora, the prominent diaspora members in Jerusalem. That's all that is there. It's a very packed schedule, as you said.
Right. So those are the engagements lined up for the Prime Minister. Ratna, I want to ask you about the defense deal as well. We're looking at several agreements being signed between the two countries as far as defense is concerned. We're also looking at India. Here is likely to get Iron Dome. This is a source-based information that's coming up. According to our sources, India is likely to have a conversation with Israel on Iron Dome as part of the defense deals which are going to be signed. Iron Dome, these are the defense deals which will be signed between the two countries. So, Ratna, what details do we have about this?
So, as of now, what I'm hearing is that India is interested in the Iron Dome and the Iron Beam technology of Israel as well. It will significantly increase our defense capabilities to take down interceptions. We have seen in the recent war that happened with Pakistan how much our defense technology, especially the interception capabilities, played a role. And this will be a huge boost to India's defense if that happens. But on a broader picture side, the ambassador of Israel to India, Reuven Azar, has said it in interviews yesterday that this will be also this cooperation of India and Israel is taking to the next phase, and they will be renewing and upgrading the long-standing defense and security cooperation framework, and they will be taking this partnership to the next decade. They will have a lot of joint development and co-production of defense technologies, missile defense system, even artificial enabled drones.
मित्रों, राहुल गांधी यानी कॉम्प्रोमाइज, गांधी परिवार पूरी तरीके से एक कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड परिवार है, एक कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड कांग्रेस के नेतृत्व करते हैं। अनेक तरीके से कांग्रेस पार्टी का इतिहास देख लें, वर्तमान देख लें, चाहे उनके भ्रष्टाचार के अलग अलग किस्से हों, किस प्रकार से वो विदेशी ताकतों के प्रभाव में जनहित और राष्ट्रहित के साथ कॉम्प्रोमाइज करते हैं, किस प्रकार से देश और देश के उज्जवल भविष्य, देशवासियों के उज्जवल भविष्य को पूरी तरीके से कॉम्प्रोमाइज करते हैं, उसके अनेक उदाहरण देश और जनता के सामने हैं। राहुल गांधी जी तो नकारात्मक राजनीति के पोस्टर बॉय बन गए। एक कॉम्प्रोमाइज राहुल गांधी 247 बार 247 टाइम्स विदेश यात्रा पे जाते हैं, जो येलो बुक प्रोटोकॉल है उसको नजरअंदाज करते हैं, उसको कॉम्प्रोमाइज करते हैं। उनकी खुद की सुरक्षा के लिए जो इंतजाम सरकार करती है उसको कॉम्प्रोमाइज करते हैं और बाहर जाके भारत और भारतवासियों के साथ कॉम्प्रोमाइज करते हैं। किस प्रकार के देश विरोधी ताकतों से उनका संबंध है ये तो आप सब जानते ही हैं। कैसे वो इल्हान उमार को, जो सोरोस का जोड़ीदार है, जॉर्ज सोरोस के साथ जिनके अवैध संबंध सामने आते रहते हैं, उनको मिलने जुलने का कार्यक्रम करते हैं। किस प्रकार से बॉर्डर सेंसिटिव एरिया लद्दाख में जाके वो विदेशी लोग जो भारत के हितों के खिलाफ काम कर रहे हैं, शाकिर मिराली जैसे, उनके साथ संबंध रखते हैं। किस प्रकार से वो सोरोस और पाकिस्तान से चाइना, पाकिस्तान जैसे देशों के साथ जिन व्यक्तियों का लिंक है, उनके साथ राहुल गांधी अपने देश को कॉम्प्रोमाइज करते हैं, ये हम सब बार बार देखते हैं। भारत को किस प्रकार से आर्थिक रूप से कमजोर बनाना, भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को चोट पहुंचाने का काम करना, जिसके लिए वो OCCRP जैसी संस्थाओं के टूल किट का इस्तेमाल बार बार करते हैं, भारत की अर्थव्यवस्था को डिस्टेबलाइज करने के लिए, कमजोर बनाने के लिए। ये भी देश ने लगातार महसूस किया है, देखा है, अनुभव किया है। राहुल गांधी जी ने एक प्रकार से बड़ी ओछी राजनीति देश और दुनिया के सामने दिखाई है। एक प्रकार से फॉरेन पावर्स के पपेट के रूप में ही इज नथिंग बट अ पपेट ऑफ एंटी इंडिया फोर्सेस, एंटी इंडिया ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस and anti-India governments. This is the compromised Rahul Gandhi and Gandhi family that we see today, whether in parliament, whether outside parliament, whether in a press conference. We have seen the behavior with the press. You can't even ask an uncomfortable question to Mr. Rahul Gandhi without being tagged as a BJP associated press person. उनको सिर्फ क्यूरेटेड प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंसेस चाहिए, उनको सिर्फ लिखा पढ़ा के जिसको प्रश्न दिया हो उसके अलावा वो कोई प्रश्न भी नहीं ले सकते। ऐसा व्यक्ति कांग्रेस पार्टी का नेतृत्व कर रहा है, देश के साथ खिलवाड़ कर रहा है, देशवासियों के हितों को पूरी तरीके से दांव पर लगा रहा है। और आज के नए भारत, उभरती हुई अर्थव्यवस्था, उभरती हुई दुनिया में भारत का वर्चस्व को, प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी की लोकप्रियता को शायद वो सहन नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। इसलिए झूठ के ऊपर झूठ बोलकर देश हित और राष्ट्र हित को बार बार कॉम्प्रोमाइज करते हैं। और ये आज की किस्सा नहीं है। आपने देखा मनमोहन सिंह जी की सरकार के समय भी कैसे एक्स्ट्रा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पावर्स राहुल गांधी और सोनिया गांधी जी अपने हाथ में रखते थे। कभी कैबिनेट का निर्णय प्रेस के सामने फाड़ के ध्वस्त कर दिया, देश के प्रधानमंत्री को बेइज्जत करना, कैसे नेशनल एडवाइजरी काउंसिल के माध्यम से सरकार चलाना और लेफ्टिस्ट आइडियोलॉजी देश पर थोपना। एक पैरेलल कैबिनेट इनकी माताजी सोनिया गांधी जी और राहुल जी चलाया करते थे और देश को कॉम्प्रोमाइज करते थे। सिर्फ सोनिया जी और राहुल जी ने देश को कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं किया, सुपर पीएम के तरह अपनी राजनीति चलाकर देश को सिर्फ कॉम्प्रोमाइज नहीं किया, राजीव गांधी जी भी देश को कॉम्प्रोमाइज करने में कभी पीछे नहीं हटे। हम सब जानते हैं कि बोफोर्स के स्कैंडल में कैसे स्वीडिश अथॉरिटीज को राहुल गांधी जी के कहने पे विदेश मंत्री ने कोशिश की कि इन्वेस्टिगेशन को थाम दिया जाए। हम सब जानते हैं कैसे अपने मित्र ओटावियो कटराची को बचाने के लिए ईमानदार इन्वेस्टिगेशन होने नहीं दी गई बोफोर्स में। पता नहीं कांग्रेस का और राजीव गांधी जी का बोफोर्स में क्या हाथ था, और यह हाथ ऐसा है उनका जो लाखों करोड़ों रुपए के भ्रष्टाचार में पाया गया है, कलंकित किया देश को विश्व के सामने और देश को कॉम्प्रोमाइज किया इस गांधी परिवार ने। इंदिरा गांधी जी कोई पीछे नहीं रही कॉम्प्रोमाइज करने में देश के हितों को। हमने देखा एम्बेसडर मोनियान ने कैसे कंफर्म किया कि सीआईए कांग्रेस को बार बार इलेक्शन के लिए फंड्स प्रोवाइड करती थी, पैसे दिया करती थी, और सीआईए के माध्यम से कांग्रेस पार्टी अपने राजनीति चलाती थी। हमने मेट्रोकिन आर्काइव्स में देखा कैसे सूटकेस भर भर के केजीबी पैसा दिया करती थी कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड इंदिरा गांधी जी को, और ये गांधी परिवार का कॉम्प्रोमाइज के किस्से अनेकों अनेक बार बार देखने को मिलते हैं। और ये पैसा सीधा केजीबी का उस समय की प्रधानमंत्री इंदिरा गांधी जी के घर तक जाता था। ये मित्रों आर्काइव्स में लिखा गया है। 1971 के शिमला एग्रीमेंट में हमने 93,000 पाकिस्तानियों को छोड़ते हुए देखा कांग्रेस को। क्या उन्होंने पाकिस्तान ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर क्यों नहीं लिया उसके सामने? कौन सी ताकतें थी जो इंदिरा गांधी जी के पीछे उन पे दबाव डाल रही थी, जिसके तहत शिमला समझौते में देश के साथ कॉम्प्रोमाइज किया गया? इसका जवाब देना होगा कॉम्प्रोमाइज कांग्रेस को। क्यों पाकिस्तान ऑक्युपाइड कश्मीर नहीं लिया गया जब 93,000 पाकिस्तानियों को छोड़ा गया, बिना देश के हितों को संभालते हुए, देश के साथ कॉम्प्रोमाइज करके, देश के सुरक्षा के साथ गांधी परिवार ने कॉम्प्रोमाइज किया। और किससे चलते ही जाते हैं। जवाहरलाल नेहरू जी ने किस प्रकार से बार बार देश के हितों के साथ कॉम्प्रोमाइज किया। उनका सेक्रेटेरिएट तो कहा जाता है एक ओपन बुक था सीआईए और केजीबी के लिए। 1954 में 1954 में उन्होंने देश के तिब्बत के ऊपर सभी हितों को चाइना के समक्ष झुकाकर देश को कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर दिया, देश को शर्मिंदा किया, देश को कॉम्प्रोमाइज करना पड़ा। सामने कुछ हासिल नहीं हुआ। उन्होंने पंचशील के नाम पर अक्सई चीन दे दिया चाइना को। इससे बड़ा कॉम्प्रोमाइज क्या हो सकता है गांधी परिवार और कांग्रेस का? और चिट्ठियां लिखी यूनाइटेड नेशंस को कि चाइना को परमानेंट मेंबर बनाया जाए यूएन सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल का, जहां भारत को बनना चाहिए था। भारत ने अपनी सीट छोड़कर चिट्ठियां लिख के कहा चाइना को बना दिया जाए यूएन सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल का परमानेंट मेंबर। ये कॉम्प्रोमाइज गांधी परिवार और कॉम्प्रोमाइज कांग्रेस क्या इस देश को समझती है? क्या देश हित और जनहित को समझती है? अपनी जागीर समझने वाली गांधी परिवार को जनता ने मुंह तोड़ जवाब देना है। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
इस विषय से जुड़ा कोई सवाल, इसी विषय से जुड़ा नीरज जी।
भारत का स्टैंड बड़ा क्लियर है। भारत डायलॉग और डिप्लोमेसी से इन सब प्रकार के मुद्दों को सुलझाने में विश्वास करता है।
पवन गौड़।
आप अपने दिल में और अपने मस्तक में सोच के बताइए कि जब दुनिया के 20 देशों के बड़े बड़े राष्ट्राध्यक्ष या प्रधानमंत्री, हेड्स ऑफ स्टेट, हेड्स ऑफ गवर्नमेंट भारत की उपलब्धियों को सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं। 118 देशों से डेलीगेशंस आई है जो आश्चर्यचकित रहे हमारे युवा युवतियों के हुनर को, भारत के टैलेंट को, भारत की उपलब्धियों को देखकर वाहवाही कर रहे हैं। ये नंगा नाच जो कांग्रेस पार्टी के नेताओं ने करवाया वहां, और मैं सीधे तौर पर राहुल गांधी और प्रियंका गांधी को पूछना चाहता हूं कि क्या उनका हाथ था इसके पीछे? क्या उन्होंने देश को नीचा दिखाने के लिए देश के साथ कॉम्प्रोमाइज किया वो नंगा नाच करवा कर? जवाब देना चाहिए राहुल गांधी और प्रियंका गांधी जी को।
विकास जी,
मैंने कई बार कहा है, फर्जी, झूठ और फरेब के आधार पर राहुल गांधी जी फिर देश के हितों को और देशवासियों के हितों को कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर रहे हैं। बहुत स्पष्ट है कि किसानों के हितों को पूरी तरीके से सुरक्षित रखा गया है। ट्रेड डील में कोई किसान को किसी प्रकार का नुकसान नहीं हुआ है। कांग्रेस और राहुल उसमें भी देश के हितों को कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर रही है। आज लाखों करोड़ लोगों की नौकरी को सुरक्षित रखा है, लाखों करोड़ रुपए के कारोबार को देश हित में सुरक्षित रखा गया है। देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को सुरक्षित रखने के लिए हर कदम उठाया गया है। विश्व के बड़े बड़े देशों के साथ, चाहे यूरोपियन यूनियन हो 27 देशों का समूह, यूके हो $4 ट्रिलियन की अर्थव्यवस्था, स्विट्जरलैंड और 4 देशों का एफ्टा समूह हो, ऑस्ट्रेलिया हो, न्यूजीलैंड हो, ओमान हो, यूएई हो, अब तो जीसीसी के 6 देश कल ही आकर लॉन्च करके गए। सब देश के साथ संबंध बढ़ाना चाहते हैं। सब देख रहे हैं आप सबका, युवा युवतियों का हुनर। ऐसे में आप बताइए कि कौन कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर रहा है देश के हितों के साथ, कौन भ्रमित कर रहा है, कौन झूठ और फरेब फैलाने की कोशिश कर रहा है। मैं साफ तौर पे आपके माध्यम से देशवासियों को बताना चाहता हूं कि गांधी परिवार कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड है। उनसे देश की अर्थव्यवस्था तेजी से बढ़ रही है। देश के किसानों के हित मोदी सरकार सुरक्षित रख रही है। देश तेजी से आगे बढ़ रहा है। ये दुर्भाग्य से उनसे देखा नहीं जाते। कांग्रेस और गांधी परिवार पूर्णतः कॉम्प्रोमाइज्ड परिवार है।
देवेंद्र प्रसाद,
राहुल गांधी जी की चुप्पी अपने आप में कुछ रहस्य छुपा रही है।
दीपक चौबे,
कांग्रेस के एक लीडर है पंजाब के, वो ये कह रहे हैं कि हम खुद गिरफ्तारी देते हैं, और उन्होंने कहा कि प्रधानमंत्री से भी ऐसी इस तरह शब्द का उपयोग किया उन्होंने पंजाब में।
मैं निंदा करता हूं इस प्रकार के शब्दों का। प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी देश के सबसे लोकप्रिय नेता है, विश्व के आज सबसे लोकप्रिय नेता है। हम सब ने देखा है कि बार बार कांग्रेस पार्टी और उनके मित्र दल, चाहे डीएमके हो, चाहे समाजवादी हो, चाहे तृणमूल कांग्रेस हो, ये सब मिलकर प्रधानमंत्री जी को बार बार गाली गलौज करते हैं। लेकिन ये देश की समझदार जनता है जो सब समझती है, जो बार बार इस कॉम्प्रोमाइज कांग्रेस, कॉम्प्रोमाइज गांधी परिवार जो आज पूरी तरीके से बौखला गई है, पूरी तरीके से एक्सपोज हो गई है, उसके इस प्रकार के वक्तव्य से भी मोदी जी और मजबूत होते हैं देश सेवा करने के लिए। मोदी जी लाख कोशिश गालियां दे दे कांग्रेस पार्टी और उनके मित्र दल, मोदी जी जनता और देश के लिए पूर्णतः अपने आप को समर्पित किए हुए। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
दो सवाल, छोटे छोटे सवाल भेज दीजिए।
Viewers, now shifting focus. The 8-year-old Riansh is fighting for his life after being shot in the head during a wedding procession in Bulandshahr in Uttar Pradesh. The accused Krishna Verma, allegedly just 16 years old, is still on the run with his father, who reportedly also encouraged him to fire the gun. Riansh's family claims that Krishna is not a minor, contradicting the police reports and claims. The boy's condition remains critical. He's on ventilator support at Fortis Hospital in Noida. Now, the incident has also sparked outrage with questions raised about the UP police's response and efficiency. The police have seized the licensed pistol which was used during the gunshot firing and has also collected CCTV footage, but face severe criticism for slow action. 5 days on, and the shooter, along with his father, who encouraged him, remain on the run. These on your screens are the visuals of the 8-year-old Riansh on your screens. In fact, viewers, my colleague Harsh also confronted the MLA of Bulandshahr to seek answers and to understand what the authorities are doing about this entire case. Listen into that.
सर, एक 8 साल का बच्चा जिंदगी मौत से लड़ रहा है. आप विधायक है सर. विधायक जी, ऐसे कैसे चलेगा? वो बच्चा जिंदगी और मौत से लड़ रहा है. पुलिस 5 दिन में किसी को ढूंढ नहीं पाई है. विधायक जी, बाहर आ जाइए, कम से कम बात कर लीजिए, एक जवाब दे दीजिए. आपके ही लोग हैं ये लोग. आप प्रदीप जी, ये 8 साल का बच्चा कोमा में है. पुलिस 5 दिन से कुछ नहीं कर पाई है अभी तक. वो जो पिस्टल है, लाइसेंस पिस्टल है, वो तक बरामद नहीं कर पाई है. आपके विधानसभा के लोग हैं सर, जवाब मांग रहे हैं आपसे. एक जवाब तो बनता है यार. प्रदीप जी, एक जवाब. आपके ही लोग हैं, आपसे
Viewers, in fact, my colleague Rakshita Mishra joins us from outside the Fortis Hospital where the child is admitted. She's in conversation with Riansh's mother. Rakshita, coming to you, what is the stand right now? What is the development that you're seeing in the case?
Well, it's more than 5 days and little Riansh continues to fight against death. He's fighting for his life, and today there have been some scans that have been carried out. We are reporting from outside the Fortis Hospital where we have been speaking. We have been in constant touch with the parents of Riansh, and I have with me Ms. Sonam Verma, who is the mother of Riansh. Ma'am, अभी कैसी स्थिति है Riansh?
मैम, जो स्थिति रियांश की कल थी वही स्थिति आज है.
डॉक्टर से कुछ बोला अभी टेस्ट को लेकर?
हाँ जी, आज उसे टेस्ट के लिए लेके गए हैं, सिटी स्कैन के लिए लेकर गए थे. तो अभी रिपोर्ट तो नहीं आई है, बट मैंने फिर पूछा कि वैसे आपने देखा है तो क्या आपको लगा, तो डॉक्टर बोलते हैं कि अभी कोई ऐसा ज़्यादा इम्प्रूवमेंट नहीं है.
उनके जो आरोपी हैं दोनों अभी तक फरार हैं, लेकिन उनके जो भाई हैं उनके पिताजी के, उनसे उनको अभी डिटेन कर लिया गया है, हिरासत में लिया गया था पूछताछ के लिए.
हाँ जी, वो जो रॉबिन वर्मा और उनके बेटे हैं, रॉबिन वर्मा के भाई को और उनके 1-2 रिलेटिव्स को उन्होंने दबिश देकर उठाया है और उनके भाई को अरेस्ट किया है और उनके बेटे को, रॉबिन वर्मा के भाई और उनके बेटे को अरेस्ट किया है. लेकिन जो मेन एक्यूज्ड हैं उनका अभी तक कुछ पता नहीं है. जी,
क्या लगता है इतनी देर क्यों लग रही होगी?
मुझे ये समझ में ही नहीं आ रहा कि अगर कोई बड़ा क्रिमिनल हो या कुछ ऐसा हो जिसका पता नहीं लगाया जा सके, वो बात समझ आती है, लेकिन आज 1 वीक हो गया और अभी तक कुछ नहीं हो पाया है.